2 for 32 in 9. All the medium paces have, and so too the spinner Stemp. And Yorkshire have come back very, very well after that long opening partnership. 137 for 6 at the moment. Addy 54. The not-out batsmen are Law and Moores. We're going to go across now to Glorious Goodwood and to Julian Wilson for the Citroen Zantia Handicap.
Yes, hello, welcome to Britain's loveliest racecourse, a unique sporting theatre in this scenic, private corner of Sussex. Well, it's not so private today. There are over 20,000 people here enjoying racing's holiday week of the year. It's a week for Panama hats, cold drinks, raspberries, and picnics in the racecourse car park. And up on Trundle Hill, of course, there used to be 20,000 people up here with this wonderful viewpoint. There's more room to manoeuvre now. And this is Millionaire's Row. This is where the smart Sussex set have their lunch. Only the best wines there, lobsters, saucy crab. If you're getting a lunch invitation, make sure it's right here. And of course, 5 days of top-class sport climaxed by the Stewards' Cup and the Nassau Stakes at the end of the week. All the top jockeys are here, well, those who aren't suspended or injured. Well, the going is officially good to firm. 1/8 of an inch of rain fell yesterday, but that was the first rain here for 26 days, would you believe? The course has been watered regularly with 100,000 gallons of water per day, but it's going to ride pretty fast. And our 4 races today feature the Westminster Taxi Insurance Gordon Stakes at 2:45, and the day's big handicap, the William Hill Cup, at 3:20. And sadly, Willie Carson still isn't back in action today following his horrific fall in front of the grandstand at Newmarket on Friday night, but he does plan to ride tomorrow. Al Haas is riding the big race, the Sussex Stakes. Al Haas again wears blinkers. So the stage is set for a wonderful 5 days of racing. The week's feature, of course, is the Sussex Stakes, worth £125,000. That's tomorrow. There are 10 runners declared overnight for that. No horses have been withdrawn. And Willie Carson, as I say, will be on Al Haas, but the bookmaker's favourite is Charnwood Forest. He's a 5 to 4 shot. Well, the most valuable race today is the William Hill Cup, and inevitably that's been one of the liveliest betting races of the day. Graham Rock's here with all the morning news. Graham?
Well, Julian, as you've seen from today's races, the card is absolutely impossible for punters. They are very difficult indeed. William Hill Cup, I think, surely it's one of the, there's been plenty of money anti-post for 1 or 2, but really they're finding it very difficult. Bookmakers are saying the business is steady rather than spectacular. But let's go on with the captions now and have a look and see what they've been doing this morning, because they have been punting on 1 or 2.
Silver Groom, last year's winner.
Yes, higher in the weights this year, but no question about it. It's the best back today in this race, 4 to 1 originally, now 3 to 1. And some money there for ball gown each way. The Corals reported a monkey each way at 25 to 1, £500 each way at 25 to 1, now 20 to 1. Silver Groom will be favourite.
Another last year's winners in the King George Stakes at 350.
Yes, PB Golf Rose, fairly easy to back this morning. More money for Evening Performance, very popular. Almaty quite strong. But Crowded Avenue, well tipped in the newspapers this morning by 1 or 2 shrewd judges. 16 to 1 from 33 to 1. Very, very popular.
The Gordon Stakes is at 2:45.
Yes, I think Desert Boy's just going to go off favourite here, perhaps over Mons. But Unitas down at the bottom, each way support for him, and I think improving at home probably since he won at Windsor, that would be the best backed in the Gordon Stakes.
And perhaps the toughest one of the lot, the opener, the Citroen Zantia Stakes.
Well, yes, it did look the toughest on paper this morning. Chinensis, a popular favourite. Ladbrokes reported money for Smooth Asset and Orsay. But the gamble of the day here, surely, is present situation. 12 to 1 down to 7 to 1, including about £1,500 each way out, 12 to 1 with Chandler's. Surely, I think on the weights at least, must have a really cracking each way chance.
And after we come off the air?
Yes, in the Oak Tree Stakes, they've nibbled another outsider, Forest Cat. 33 to 1, 25 to 1, now 16 to 1 best.
Graham, thank you. Well, there are some hints for you, some suggestions. We move on to the first of these tricky races today. It's the Citroen Zantia Stakes. Runners riders from Peter O'Sullivan.
And the top weight, number 1, Comanche Companion, ridden by J.D. Smith, claiming a £5 allowance. 2 is Bernard 7, Blinkered, ridden by is Nightwink, Simon Whitworth. 4, 17's Lucky, ridden by Michael Wigan. 5 is Nordinex, ridden by Michael Hills. 6, Orsay, Jason Weaver. 7, Serapendipity, So I'll try that again. Serendipity, ridden by Ray Cochrane. 8 is Embankment, ridden by Dane O'Neill. 9 is Confronter, ridden by Richard Hughes. 10, Golden Thunderbolt, Gary Hind. 11, Fienda Cool, ridden by Richard Quinn. 12 is Shenensis, Pat Edery. 13, Autumn Cover, Darren Biggs. 14, Chairman's Choice, Kevin Darley. 15, Smooth Asset with John Reed putting up 1 pound overweight. John has ridden 92 winners here in 22 years, rode his first winner here in 73. 16 is Power Game, ridden by John Carroll, visored Power Game, and 17 is Present Situation, one of the gambles of the race, ridden by Matthew Henry, claiming the 3 pound allowance. Here's how they bet now.
And Tunensis is favourite, having opened on the course at 5 to 1, now 11 to 2. More money for Present Situation, 7 to 1 down to 13 to 2. Then they bet 8 to 1 Nordinex, 9 Golden Thunderbolt, 12 Autumn Cover and Serendipity and Smooth Asset, 14 to 1 Chairman's Choice, Night Wink, gone to Cool, 16 to 1 Orsay, having it opened at 12, 16 to 1 Confronter from 14, then they go 20 to 1 Embankment, and the outsiders all on 25 to 1, Power Game, Bernard 7, Comanche Companion, and 17's Lucky.
And here is the favourite. He's a horse who's just taken a little while to get his act together. 2 reasons really. One, as you can see, he's a strong, robust-looking horse, so it took a while for Luca Comani to get him just as fit as he would wish to. And the other turning point was when riding tactics were changed. His last 2 runs, he's been encouraged to make all the running. He's been allowed to bowl along, and that's seen a transformation in his form. I think we'll see him handy today. Goodwood's always been a good front runner's course. I don't think Pat will be too far away, so Luca Comani, who always does well at Goodwood, will be looking for a big run from this horse today. Let's join Jimmy Lindley and Jim McGrath in the paddock.
Thanks very much, Julian. And as you say, that since they've found out how to ride him, which he's happiest when bowling along in front, his form has improved dramatically. He's won his last 2 starts, and he looked exceptionally well in the paddock, but he's going to have his work cut out today because there's 1 or 2 other front runners in the race. I think we're going to see a hell of a pace on here early, because the ground, I had a little walk with Barry Hills just before the first on the course, and I think it's going to ride very fast indeed. I wouldn't be at all surprised, Jim, if we don't see 1 or 2 of the track records go here at this meeting.
Yes, it's very likely, Jimmy, considering the conditions are ideal. But just having another look at this horse as he comes out onto the course, we just might watch him stride down. Interesting that he has been used as a front runner the last 2 starts, but on very different courses to Goodwood. We've seen him at Ripon, going right-handed there up that very long straight, and also at Redcar, very similar sort of long straight, but going left-handed. And I'm just wondering how he's going to act here on this much sharper track today.
I think pretty good, Jim, really, because Redcar's quite a fast track and quite undulating, in fact, and so is Ripon. Ripon, you've got to have a lovely balanced horse, and as we see there, although he's hitting the ground a little bit hard here, he's got a big stride on him. I would think he'll handle Goodwood pretty well.
Here's one of the dangers, I think, number 10, Golden Thunderbolt. He's a relatively unexposed type, really. He's had only the 4 starts. He has been placed on 2 occasions and seems to be just gradually getting the hang of this racing game. His last 2 starts have represented good performances, I think, in 3rd behind Iberian Dancer and Puce here at Goodwood, and then a 2nd last time at Ripon in a maiden. Wouldn't surprise me, Jimmy, to see him take a hand in the finish.
John Gosden has given him plenty of time to come to hand. He didn't see the racecourse as a 2-year-old. He's only had the 4 runs this year, and he's run good races, as you so say, in most of his starts. I thought he looked well in the paddock. Young Gary Hines in the saddle. Gary, a little bit of a slow season, perhaps only 18 winners so far, but well, when he's on the right material, he's as good as nearly anybody.
Well, there they are, making their way down the post at the mile.
This is rather interesting, as you can see here. This is the mile track we're looking at, and you can just see how they run downhill for the first bit. And then they've got, Jim, quite a stiff climb up and that lovely right-handed bend. This is a beautiful bend to ride. Horses love to race round there. That, where they are at the moment, is a junction. That's the mile and a half, and they go off left-handed there to the bottom turn. But you'll see these runners are taking the right-hand bend, because this is only over the mile. But a lovely track. It keeps horses interested And when you get a horse that comes to win at Goodwood, Jim, very often they come back and their form improves from the rest of the year. You get a Goodwood specialist, and he's got to have a lot of early speed, he's got to be well balanced, and he's got to have enough stamina too, because they always go a gallop here, and the last half furlong, very often you see a horse coming back at you.
There in the background in the diamond colours is Nordinex. Familiar colours too, Ronnie Akuli from Hong Kong, who's already had a big success this season with Sheer Danzig in the Hong Kong Jockey Club Trophy at Sandown. Nordinex not quite as successful. So far 4 wins from 21 starts, but a handicapper who seems to be on his right mark on 76.
Shown a lot of form on the all-weather. He's a bonny little horse this. I've seen him work quite a lot on Newmarket Heath, and well, as you see there, he's quite well made, but as you say, quite hasn't got his act together, but the handicap has been a bit hard on him as late, but I think maybe he's got a bit of a mark today and could give Michael Hills a pretty good ride here.
And now we have joint favourites here at Goodwood. 6-1 Chinensis just easing a little on the track as more money for present situation. Remember, 12-1 this morning, now half those odds. Nordinex steady on 8-1, Golden Thunderbolt easy out to 10, Autumn Cover 12 from 10, joins Serendipity 14-1, bar those 6.
Runners down now, making their way to post now. Night Wink on the left of picture. That big white face will be fairly easy to pick up. Chimensis in the centre as they make their way to post. Now the interesting runner there in the centre of our screen in the orange and white. Present situation, Matthew Henry. This is the horse that they're going for in betting. And Jimmy, you'd be a brave man to say that he's not going to be there.
I think he's going to run a big race, Jim. He's 6-1 joint favourite from 13-2, and he's already won here at Goodwood. He won an apprentice race, in fact, and he's got one of the finds of the year, Matthew Henry in the saddle. He really is a good boy, this, but they've got to be a good apprentice around here, Jim. It's a trappy track to ride, and, well, apprentices sometimes get in a little bit of trouble. When I have a bet, or if I very rarely do, in fact, I like to have one of the senior jockeys on my side, but Matthew Henry, a really good boy.
The thing that worries me about this one is he's drawn 4, and in a big field, 17, he's going to be trapped a little bit wide, Jimmy. What do you think his tactics are going to be early?
Could be. I think most likely you give him a little bit of a chance here. It depends on how you break, really, if you're drawn right out there. You either like to drop them in behind and cut across behind, or get a quick start, wander towards the rail, because as you say, if you're trapped on the outside here, you can give a lot of ground away.
Here's 13, Autumn Cover. Darren Biggs in the saddle, and a horse who's running off a mark of 64, and the last time he did win he was off 55, so the handicapper might have just grabbed hold of him. 12-1 from 10s.
Had a good time this year, won 3 out of his 7 starts, so he's really on the up, this horse. He often makes the running, so another one I think that we'll hear Peter call in early, but there's about 6 or 7 that like to really bowl along in front, so I think we're in for a really fast pace.
15 is Smooth Asset from the Peter Chappell Hyam stable, and carrying the Pony Collins colours. A horse who has been expected to arrive at each of his 3 starts to date so far, at Kempton, at Goodwood, and also at Ayr. Looks a little bit on the weak side, Jimmy.
Yeah, filly, Peter Chappell Hyam gave this filly quite a lot of time to mature, but I don't think she's really matured when you look at her, Jim. She didn't run as a 2-year-old. She's had the 3 starts this year. She showed a bit of form on the last start, second. John Reed having to put up 1 pound overweight, 8 stone 7. But John, quite a big, tall rider, in fact, so he's doing well to do 8-7. Quite well drawn, though, Jim, going into 9.
Lining up now. There's a good view of the stalls, the way they slope. Embankment just going forward there.
Yeah, you can see the camber, in fact, is the wrong way there, Jim. They're running away to the left, in fact. But this is where I was saying you need a horse that's well balanced, good conformation, because you meet several undulations all the way around the track, really.
And joint favourites Chinensis in present situation at 6-1, Nordinex is 8, Golden Thunderbolt 10, then Autumn Cover, Serendipity and Chairman's Choice all 12-1, 14-1, bar those 7.
That's Golden Thunderbolt in, and that's just about it, and they're away. Fast break on the inside by Orsay. Well up there is Comanche Companion in the early stages, and so is Chairman's Choice in those check colours, but it's Orsay on the near side, the leader. Orsay from Comanche Companion. Coming to join him now is Autumn Cover just in behind him, and then Chairman's Choice with the white face. Third from the left of the picture. Right up there is Nightwing, but it's Orsay leading them. Orsay as they come towards the top of the hill. Orsay the leader from Comanche Companion. Then comes Autumn Cover on the inside. Nightwing's just in behind the lead with Chairman's Choice also prominent. And the Gamble present situation has only got two behind him, got an enormous amount to do at the moment as they swing down into the home straight. And it's Chairman's Choice with his white face showing in the lead from Nightwing towards the outside. Orsay over on the far side. Chairman's Choice, Nightwing, and also very prominent is Autumn Cover. Orsay on the inside. On the near side, Chairman's Choice. Making good ground now is Norden X, and coming there towards the outside is 17's Lucky. And it's Autumn Cover now coming to challenge for the lead. Autumn Cover on the near side, Orsay on the far side. Serendipity putting in a good run in third. But as they race up towards the line, it's Autumn Cover. Autumn Cover's going to go and win the opener. Autumn Cover wins it from Orsay and Serendipity with Beyond the Cool fourth. And fifth and sixth came the Gamble of the race, present situation, and Confronter. But the winner, number 13, Autumn Cover, owned by Mr. G. Alexander, trained by Peter Hedger, and ridden by Darren Biggs. Second was number 6, Orsay, the long-time prominent Orsay, owned by Mr. D.J. Deere, trained by Willie Muir and ridden by Jason Weaver. And third was number 7, Serendipity, owned by Mr. John Darby, trained by John Dunlop and ridden by Ray Cochrane, with fourth, number 11, Fionda Cool. But this is the winner, Autumn Cover.
And this is the judge's eye view. Number 13, Autumn Cover, by a length and a half from the runner-up Orsay, who was being caught rapidly in the last few strides by number 7, Serendipity, who finished third. Well, as Jimmy indicated, there was a fast and furious pace here. Not many horses got into the action at all. Shenensis, who got chopped early on in the race, never really got in a blow. The Gamble was well back early on, present situation, never got into it. Meanwhile, up front, Orsay running for the first time since last spring, and what bad luck for Willie Muir to have got so close to pull off a notable coup. He was well back last year at 33-1 when he won his race, and right here it looked as though they were going to pull it off again, because the jockey on Autumn Cover, Darren Biggs, is the first to go for his whip. And these two are clear, as you can see, Serendipity moving into third place now. But this is where Autumn Cover gets the better of the previously unraced for 12 months Orsay and goes ahead. As you can see behind, very few have got into it, and these two have kept galloping to the line. This horse really fit at the peak of his powers now, this grey horse Autumn Cover, runner-up last time to Mr. O'Grady. Serendipity, who's been the disappointing horse, is finishing well in third place under Ray Cochrane, but very little else got into the contest. The best finisher there, the fourth horse, Beyond the Coup.
Winner of 4 of his 17 races, Autumn Cover, who very often makes running, but in fact missed the break this time, but was soon challenging for a prominent position, and having taken it up inside the final quarter, went away, never looked like getting beaten from that moment on. But this grey gelding by nomination out of Respray by Rustic Cargo, 5th winner of the season for his handler, Peter Hedger, and number 8 for Darren Biggs. Local trainer, so quite a popular success in this opener. 1 1/4 lengths and a neck, the official margin, with second, the long-time prominent Orsay, who hit the box there very fast indeed, hit the stalls, and Serendipity running on strongly to the third. And the starting prices as follows.
And the winner, number 13, Autumn Cover, at 12 to 1. Second, number 6, Orsay, 16 to 1. Third, Serendipity, 12 to 1. And fourth, number 11, Beyond the Cool, 14 to 1. And the opening race at Beverley, the 2 o'clock there. First, number 5, Tagate, 15 to 2. Second, number 2, Veshka Lady, the 7 to 4 favourite. And third, number 3, Ragtime Cowgirl, at 2 to 1. The tote there win £13. Places 420, 130. The dual forecast £12.40, and the straight forecast £20.86.
The time for the first race, 1 minute 38.50 seconds. That's 1.3 seconds slower than the standard, but it's pretty fast. Our next race, the Westminster Taxi Insurance Gordon Stakes, the one Group 3 race of the day, or our first Group 3 race of the day. But now it's back to Hove and Richie Bennett.
Thanks, Julian. And things have taken a turn for the...
Well, that was a happy day, but more a happy day for South Africa than for England, I'm afraid, Jack. Weather a little bit cooler here today at Goodwood, but we got some great racing, and this is a race which, as you know, very often acts as a stepping stone to the later. Several of these runners are certainly potential candidates for the final classic, and there are 12 in all. Peter O'Sullivan names them.
Number 1 is Bohemian Knight, ridden by Richard Hughes. 2, Chief Contender, David Harrison. 3, Desert Boy, John Reed. 4 is Don Vito, Tim Sprake. 5, Male Anamu, ridden by Ray Cochrane. 6, Mons, Jason Weaver. 7, Quakers Field, Dane O'Neill. 8, Samran, Michael Hills. 9, St. Maur's, Blinkard, with Kevin Darley deputising for Willie Carson, who's wisely decided to just take one more day off following his nasty spell last week, but we'll hope to see you tomorrow, Willie. 10 is Stormtrooper, ridden by Pat Edery. 11, Summer Spell, Seb Sanders. And 12, Unitas, ridden by Richard Quinn. And here's how they bet.
Desert Boy, 4 to 1, clear favourite here. Don Vito opened at 5, but is now out to 11 to 2, with Mons, who opened on the track at 9 to 2. Stormtrooper is 6 to 1. Unitas 10 to 1 into 8 this morning, out to 15 to 2 from 7, sharply back to 6 to 1. And then they bet 9 to 1 Chief Contender, 12 to 1 St. Maur's, 16 to 1 Summer Spell, they're easy to back, together with Samran and Bohemian Knight. It's 33 to 1 Male Anamu, and 66 to 1 Quakers Field.
Well, here's the runner with the best two-year-old form, number 6, Mons. No question about that. It's just a question today as to whether he's back to that sort of form which enabled him to win last autumn's Royal Lodge Stakes at the Festival of Racing.
It's Mons, the leader, from in the centre, the sheepskin noseband, more royal towards the outside. Under pressure now is Bijou Dand, and Mawal getting absolutely nowhere as Hammerstein makes a little bit of progress from the rear. But it's Mons, the leader, as they hit the furlong pole, and Mons has gone a couple of lengths clear, or 3 lengths clear. Then comes More Royal and Jack Jennings, then Bijou Dand and Hammerstein, Mawal trailing, and as they race up towards the line, and Mons is going to win this very impressively indeed. Mons wins it by 5, 6, 7 maybe, 6 lengths at least. Then More Royal in second, and third Jack Jennings.
Well, that was seriously good form. Jack Jennings, the third horse, was beaten less than 6 lengths in the Derby, so Mons at his best is a genuine Group 1 horse. But he did get jarred up at Sandown in the spring. He's only raced so far this year, and this is his first run since, and the ground is fast today. It's splodgy in places, the jockey said, where it's been watered. His owners, Edmund and Anne Vesti, have travelled back from Scotland to see this horse run. Is he ready to do himself justice? That's the question for Jimmy Lindley and Jim McGrath.
Thank you, Julian. He's going down to the post pretty well. He's taken a fair grip with Jason Weaver, in fact. But as Julian was saying, he was pretty sore after finishing third in the classic trial. That was at Sandown, and the ground was riding pretty fast on that occasion. He sored both of his shins, and, well, for Kamani, who trains this colt by Deploy, has given him a nice time to come back to himself. But, well, that was a very impressive Royal Lodge win. But looking at him in the paddock, there's not a lot to this horse. Has he trained on, Jim?
That's the big question. just watching him go down there, I'm just hoping today that it's not too fast for him. Mons, he's a very decent horse in the making, and I do think that if he can handle the ground today, which is very much on the far side, they weren't that far. They ran very fast time in the first, Jimmy. We saw them jump off and go a real good lick. Well, if he can handle it today, I think he'll go very, very close indeed. Just watching them go down to post here, the 1.5 miles, working their way up the course. That's Quaker's Field in the centre. Chief Contender just behind them. They'll go around this loop now and head towards the post. And it's a very interesting course, which we'll have a look at in some detail in a little bit more time. On the right of picture there is Chief Contender, who finished 9th in the Derby. He's since been to France. He won a listed race at Nantes. And he's a very versatile performer, Jimmy. I don't think he's really given the credit that he deserves. He seems to handle any sort of going, and I think he's a fair type. He'll act on this sort of ground, I think.
I think he will, and he's a type of horse that's quite happy when bowling along in the front 2 or 3. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't see David Harrison, who's in the saddle today, making a run-in on him. He's 10-1 from 9-1. He's trained by Peter Chapel-Hyam at Marlborough, who's got him looking exceptionally well. He's by Saddler's Wells. He's a beautifully bred individual, this, and he's out of a Sir Ivor mare, so as you pointed out, Jim, I think the 1.5 miles is going to suit him, and he's a good type of horse. He was a little bit disappointing in the Derby at Epsom. He was only 9th of the 20 runners behind Shamit, and well, I think they thought that he was going to put a really big run in that day, but 1 or 2 of the contenders did put in bad performances, and I'm just wondering if there was quite a lot of trouble early on in the first 2 or 3 furlongs in the Derby. Quite a lot of hard luck stories.
Now the stablemate is there in the centre, in the very light jacket there. That's Desert Boy, trained by Peter Chapel-Hyam, of course, and well up to this class. A good run at Chester in the D Stakes, and also in the Edward VII at Ascot. He's since been to St. Cloud and been disqualified there. Was demoted there, but just the same, I do think that he's got an excellent chance this afternoon.
He's a very nice horse by Green Desert, and like Chief Contender, trained by Peter Chapel-Hyam, so he's got 2 strings to his bow here. But John Reed, who is the #1 stable jockey for Peter, in fact has opted to ride Desert Boy, and looking that up in the paddock, I think he might have chose the right one.
Stormtrooper there in the centre, very interesting runner. Stormtrooper, he's been fancied for just about every race he's run in this year. He did win very impressively at Newmarket, admittedly, at the start of the season, but 11th in the Guineas, then 6th in the Dante Stakes at York, and 15th in the Derby. And I thought he was very disappointing in the Derby, Jimmy. I thought it was a very weak run.
And I think Henry Cecil was disappointed as well, Jim. He never really fired at all that day, and Henry really thought he was a strong contender for it. But they dropped him back to the mile for the Guineas, as you said, which he disappointed. I think 1.5 miles is going to be his trim. He's out of an assert mare, and he's not a bad type. He's not the prettiest horse in the paddock. He's a good hard colour. Pat Eder is in the saddle here, and if he did put his best foot forward, I think Stormtrooper is the one they've got to beat today. He's running in the colours, in fact, of His Royal Highness Prince Fahad Salman. But you can see what I mean there. He wouldn't win a beauty competition, I don't think. Well, he is a good hard colour, isn't he, Jim?
Well, they're just about arriving at the post now for this Gordon Stakes. Quite unusual to have 12 runners. I think it's the biggest field in about 12 years. There, just on the right of picture there, with a white cap, is Bohemian Knight, just at the back of that group with a noseband. Bohemian Knight, winner of the Italian Derby, and looking at it in retrospect, Jimmy, probably a fairly easy contest as Group 1s go in Europe this year. The Italian Derby, he's beaten Backdrop, who was very disappointing at Royal Ascot. Didn't really run up to expectations there. So he may have been lucky, and he's going to carry the Group 1 penalty today, which will make his task a lot harder.
It will, and I've heard that, in fact, I didn't go to the Italian Derby this year, but I heard it was a substandard derby. But I see what is interesting. They've got a visor on him for the first time today, so I don't know whether David Loader thinks that since the Italian Derby that he's been pulling their legs a little bit. But, well, I think he's got his work cut out to beat one or two of them here. He, in fact, was only 8th in the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud after the Italian Derby, which was a disappointing run. But that Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud, I think, was quite a hot contest.
Yes, we might hear more about Helicio.
And Desert Boy, having eased fractionally out to 92, is now back to 4-1 and clear favourite. Mons 6-1 from 92 with Don Vito from 5. Stormtrooper steady on 6. The money earlier for Unitas 6-1 from 15-2. Chief Contenders out to 10. St Maurs is 12 from 10. Sam Ran open to 14-16. Now back to 14-1 and it's 16-1 bar.
A man with a little bit of a task here, a challenge ahead of him, is Tim Sprake on Don Vito, who pulled very hard at Ascot when he was beaten in Desert Boy's race there. Since then, though, he seems to have behaved himself a little bit better at Chester, although he dwelt on that occasion. So he's a horse who's got his share of problems, and we see him there walking around at the start.
If you see Jim, he's running in a net, in fact, and this is an aid that Guy Harwood, I think, was one of the first English trainers to put on some of his runners, and it, in fact, what it does, it stops the horse pulling, and there's nothing, it's just a plain net round his muzzle, but horses really can settle with it, and it's a great sort of aid. Don Vito has Tim Sprake in the saddle. I think probably, though, he'd like a little bit more give in the ground than he's got today. I think most of his best form for me has been achieved on a little bit of a softer surface than he's going to get here, but he's a pretty useful performer when everything goes right. Roger Charlton has given him plenty of time to mature and come to hand. He didn't see the racecourse as a 2-year-old. He said just the 3 runs this year. His only win, in fact, of his career came over 1.25 miles. But I think he'll get the 1.5 miles all right. His one win, in fact, was a maiden at Pontefract, and he never came off the bridle that day. He's one of the easiest winners I think I've ever seen.
Runners down at the post, very interesting, Jimmy. Very stiff uphill climb the first furlong and a half before they meet that very sharp right-handed turn.
That's a bad turn too, Jim. They've spent a lot of money on it, but it does come very quickly, and in the old days you used to get 1 or 2 slip up there, especially on the longer races. You can see how sharp it is. Then they run under those trees to get a bit of a break in a moment, when just before they get to the old mile, and they start to run downhill from the old mile, and you get a nice little break at them here. You can see the helicopters now. Most of the owners have arrived. We go back to the start, though.
St Maurs just gone in. That's the one in the red with the white sash, black and white hoop cap. You can see Kevin Darley in the saddle there. Blinkered the first time, Jimmy. I'm not surprised, really. I thought he was very disappointing in the Derby. I thought if there was one factor in his favour, it was the 1.5 miles, and that he would stay it, but not sighted at all on the voyage.
Never got going. I wondered if the course suited him there. Well, if Epsom didn't suit him, I can't see Goodwood suiting him either. But as you say, blinkered for the first time. Only 3 more to go, Jim.
I think time to join Peter.
1 to go.
That's it, Mons the last in.
Jockeys.
And they're away. 1.5 miles. And Desert Boy on the inside from Sam Ran and Stormtrooper, and they're all being chased along. They're really stepping on early in this race. Desert Boy from Stormtrooper in second, Sam Ran, Summer Spell on the inside, and then Mons, and then comes Chief Contender being pushed along to get in touch. Don Vito's the back marker, Desert Boy's the leader. Desert Boy it is from Stormtrooper in second, Summer Spell and Sam Ran, then Mons and Chief Contender on the inside. Then comes Arabian Night, and behind him is St Maurs, with on the outside of him Quaker's Field. Don Vito still one of the back markers with Malayana Mu, and Desert Boy making it. Desert Boy the leader from Stormtrooper and Summer Spell and Sam Ran, and this quartet have opened up a gap of about 4 lengths over Chief Contender and Mons, improving on the outside. Unitas getting a little bit closer with the Italian Derby winner Arabian Night upsides him, but still Desert Boy and John Reed, 92 winners at Goodwood in his career, the leader in this Westminster Taxi Insurance Gordon Stakes. From Stormtrooper, a close second, Sam Ryan on the outside, then Chief Contender and Summer Spell and Mons making ground. The back marker, Malayana Moo. Running downhill now with Desert Boy the leader, from Stormtrooper, Summer Spell, Sam Ryan, Chief Contender, then Arabian Night, and then St. Maur's getting closer. Unitas over on the far rail making a little bit of progress. Mons has got a lot to do at the moment, and so come to that as Quaker's Field, as Desert Boy and Stormtrooper dispute it now as they run down towards the 3 furlong pole, and as they do so, Stormtrooper takes it up now as they race towards the 2. From Desert Boy in second, Summer Spell. Making good ground on the outside is Quaker's Field with Chief Contender. But as they race down now past the 2 pole, it's Stormtrooper, the disappointing Derby horse, with the clear advantage as they come down to the furlong pole. Stormtrooper, St. Maur's making good ground now towards the stand side. It's Stormtrooper from St. Maur's, Chief Contender in the second. Stormtrooper, Chief Contender, St. Maur's, they race up towards the line. Stormtrooper on the far side, Chief Contender at St. Maur's, and up the line it's a photo, St. Maur's, Chief Contender, and on the far side, Stormtrooper, St. Maur's on the near side, Chief Contender in the second, Stormtrooper on the far side, St. Maur's on the near side. The stronger finisher has probably just got up in the dying stages to beat Chief Contender and Stormtrooper. St. Maur's, on whom Kevin Darley deputised for absent Willie Carson, looks as though he's got up in the dying strides of this Westminster Taxi Insurance Gordon Stakes. See what you think as we see them actually at the line.
Yes, and this is one time we really do need the creep, and it tells us that, yes, as Peter surmised, St. Maur's has got there. Chief Contender is second. Stormtrooper weakens into third. Mons has run on from nowhere to finish fourth, and the rank outsider, Quaker's Field, is fifth. And now it's official. St. Maur's is the winner. Chief Contender is second, and Stormtrooper third. Stormtrooper, who kicked clear 2 furlongs out, ran out of stamina, and St. Maur's, with the blinkers, always travelling, gets his head in front on the line. Well, what a race. Once again, they went a terrific gallop. Desert Boy up front, taken on well over 2 out by Pat Edery. You'd have to say in retrospect that on a doubtful stayer he's gone plenty soon enough, because they've gone a good gallop all the way. He's gone 2 or 3 lengths clear, looks sure to win, but didn't get home. Look back to 6th place and you see the eventual winner starting his run under Kevin Darley, who had a little job extricating him. Look behind him, another 2 or 3 lengths back, and you see Mons, so that's how much ground he's made up. But this is where Stormtrooper comes to the end of his tether. Now Chief Contender in the yellow colours, he comes into the argument. The remarkable run is that of Quaker's Field, who's still in contention there. But now Kevin Darley's got St. Maur's under full steam on the outside. And this staying horse, this Sharastani horse, helped by the headgear, still doesn't look too happy under pressure there, does he? But he forces his head in front in the last few strides. And look at Mons coming from out of the sky there in 4th place. Still, with 3 strides to go, Stormtrooper's in front. And a couple of strides after the post, Chief Contender looked to say he was in front, but the line's where it matters, and St. Maur's was first past the post in the Gordon Stakes.
Well, Willie Carson will have watched this with mixed feelings, because he'd won this race no less than 6 times in the past, and this afternoon would doubtless have been number 7 for him. A marvellous record in the race also for John Dunlop, the winner's trainer. He won it in 68 with Mount Assault, 72 with Scottish Rifle, 87 with Love the Groom. This is 54th winner of the season, and number 55 for Kevin Darley. St. Maur's the winner for Lord Swaithling. A head and a neck, the official margin. The starting price is as follows.
And the winner, number 9, St. Maur's, at 12 to 1. Second, number 2, Chief Contender, at 9 to 1. And third, number 10, Stormtrooper, at 6 to 1.
The time, 2 minutes 35.18. That is fast. The distances were a neck and a head. Our next race is the big handicap of the day. It's the William Hill Cup. Now it's time to go back to A knowledgeable man, but one who won't have sorted that winner out some more, I don't think. Jack Bannister at Hove.
Correct, Julian. Thank you very much, and welcome back to Hove, where we're coming into the final over.
Now on BBC Two, over to Julian Wilson at Goodwood.
Yes, welcome back to the Sussex Downs. A cool breeze just getting up here. You can see the flags just billowing in what's becoming a cooling and, well, beautifully pleasant July afternoon. And we've seen some really thrilling racing here in the first two races of the meeting at Goodwood. We've just seen a real humdinger for the Gordon Stakes, a race in which St Maur's, a 12-to-1 shot, trained locally by John Dunlop and was ridden by Kevin Darley, deputising for Willie Carson, who was injured. He's in a great race. He got up in the very last strides to win a pulsating finish. The commentator, Peter O'Sullivan.
Towards the two from Desert Boy in second, Summer Spell. Making good ground on the outside is Quakers Field with Chief Contender. But as they race down now past the two-pole, it's Stormtrooper, the disappointing Derby horse, with the clear advantage as they come down to the furlong pole. Stormtrooper, St Maur's making good ground now towards the stand side. It's Stormtrooper from St Maur's, Chief Contender in the second. Stormtrooper, Chief Contender, St Maur's, they race up towards the line. Stormtrooper on the far side, Chief Contender at St Maur's, and up the line is a photo, St Maur's, Chief Contender, and on the far side, Stormtrooper, St Maur's on the near.
St Maur's getting there in the last couple of strides to win by neck. The third horse was ahead away. Jonathan Powell's been talking to the winner's trainer, John Dunlop.
Yes, yes, with me, John Dunlop. Just won another Westminster Taxi Insurance Gordon Stakes, this time with St Maur's.
Delighted, very, very pleased. He hasn't won this year. He got rather jarred up in the Derby, had a rough race in the Derby, and this is his first time back. We put a pair of blinkers on him. He's come home very well, couldn't be more pleased.
Were the blinkers because he was a bit lazy, or just to help him concentrate?
I think to make him concentrate more than that, because even at Chester, he rolled around a bit when he got beat, and I felt he should have won that day, and the blinkers seemed to have helped him.
When Pat Edry went for home on Stormtrooper, it seemed for a moment the race might be over, but your horse stays very well, didn't he?
He does, and he would have been a very unlucky loser, because he got in a bit of trouble coming down the hill and lost his pitch and was further back than anybody wanted to be, but he came home well. Delighted.
Have you got him in the St Ledger?
Yeah.
Is that the obvious autumn target?
I would have thought so. Maybe come back here for the mile and 6 and then the Ledger.
And John, he was ridden by Kevin Darley today. Would he have been ridden by Willie had he been fit?
He would. Willie would have ridden him, yeah.
So that'll have him riding tomorrow if nothing else.
I think he'll be on parade tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he is back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he's got a pretty nice horse to ride for John Dunlop's stable tomorrow in the unbeaten 2-year-old Psalm. Now we move on to the most valuable race of day one of the William Hill Cup. A field of 13 competing for a first prize of £27,000. They come from Peter O'Sullivan.
Number 1 is Chief Burundi, ridden by Pat Edry. 2, Eliardensky, David Harrison. 3, Rokeby Bowl, Kevin Darley. 4, Daunt, John Carroll. 5 is Balgan, Richard Hughes. 6, Jagellan, John Reed. 7, Special Dawn, Paul Edry. 8, Dance So Sweet, Richard Quinn. 9 is Grand Selection, Michael Fenton. 10, Jana, Brett Doyle. 11, Silver Groom, Jimmy Quinn. 12, Edan Heights with Alan Daly putting up 5 pounds overweight. And 13 is Wentbridge Lad, visored and ridden by Darren Wright. And here's how they bet.
Silver Groom, the clear favourite, but opened here on the course 3-1 and drifting out to 7-2. Rokeby Bowl is 9-2, Chief Burundi 13-2. Then they bet 8-1 Special Dawn, 9 Dance So Sweet, 10-1 Grand Selection and Daunt, both opened a little bit less, they're just drifting out slightly. They're followed by Eliardensky, 14s from 12s, Eden Heights, 16 from 14, Jagellan, 20 from 16, Balgan is 20, Zana 25-1, and the outsider Wentbridge Lad, 50-1.
And this is the 7-2 favourite. There he is, the grey horse. And he's one of several horses this week bidding for a repeat win in a race which they won 12 months ago. And His win last year was very comfortable indeed.
They're racing down towards the 2 furlong pole, and as they do so, it's North Reef being pressed by Saddler's Walk and Knave's Ash, and just in behind them comes Sue's Return. It's Silver Groom who stormed into the lead, though, over on the far side as they hit the furlong pole. From Knave's Ash in second, Saddler's Walk it's third. Racing up towards the line, it's Silver Groom from Knave's Ash. Here comes Hunters of Brora with a terrific run, but Silver Groom has won it from Hunters of Brora, and Knave's Ash is third.
Well, a handicapper doesn't forget a win like that. He was racing off 65 that day, and although he hasn't won a race since then, he's still racing off 75 today. So the great handicapper is a little bit unforgiving to him, but he's probably right, because he's favoured, as you can see, and he was very encouraging in his run at Sandown recently on Royal Hong Kong Day, or Hong Kong Day, I should say. Here are Jimmy and Jim.
Thanks, Julian. Well, Matthew Henry rode him on that occasion, and what a lovely race he rode on him, getting that split down the rail. One thing he did show that day, that he's got a turn of foot, but he's a real character, this, and I think Reg Akers made a wonderful job with him. Looking at him walking around the paddock, you'd think, in fact, that he'd need the run maybe, but he's that type of horse. He's a big barrelly individual, but I should think he's a lovely ride. You can see Jimmy Quinn, who's in the saddle here. He's barely taking hold of his bit, and what a lovely, light, easy action he's got. Well, he's proved that he handles Goodwood really well. This is the type of action you want for Goodwood, Jim, and well, he's going to be a pretty tough nut, I would say, to crack again today.
Yes, I think the handicapper is playing safe, and I think he's doing the right thing, because this horse has been racing off 75 for quite a few starts now, and not been disgraced at all. In fact, his run at Sandown was a very good one, behind Sheer Danzig there. Ran on quite well for fourth, and I think, if you recall, Jimmy, during that race there was a tremendous thunderstorm. I'm sure it put off quite a few of the runners, and he's run very, very well in the conditions. Well, completely the opposite sort of weather conditions today, and ground conditions as well. I think he's set to run a very big race.
I agree with you there. He's at Sandown, as you say, there was quite a lot of heavy rain, and it just made the ground a little bit false on the turn for home, and a big type of horse like this, if they feel themselves shift, sometimes it puts them off, but well, it was still a good run, as you pointed out.
Well, runners making their way to post there, and quite a few of them, 13 going to post. It takes them quite a fair time to get down there, Jimmy.
It does. Most of the jockeys like to get a pull in up here and break them out of a canter into a nice walk, and this is when they really relax and they get their act together.
Silver Groom is favourite at 7-2. Rugby Ball, having opened at 9-2, went to 11-2, now back to 5-1. And Chief Burundi 2, drifting up slightly to 7 from 13-2, now back to 13-2. Punters looking for value to try and beat this favourite. 9-1, bar those three.
No surprise to see this horse shortening up in the market, Rugby Ball. I think he's a real danger horse here. I know the theory is that the mile and a quarter just might be a little bit on the short side for him these days, but I do think that everything points to him running well today. He's running off 94. I think that's well within his range. He's a 4-year-old. I think we've still got plenty of improvement in him, and Ian Balding has trained the winner of this race on 5 occasions previously. He knows what's required to win.
This 4-year-old is one of my real favourite handicappers. He's a lovely individual. He's got a lovely nature. He's running in the colours of Mr. Paul Mellon, made famous by Mill Reef. And it's funny, you know, when you look at a horse, you can nearly see that you'd say that this was a Paul Mellon horse and trained by Ian Balding, even if he didn't have a number cloth or colours on the jockey, because he's really in the stamp of a Ian Balding Paul Mellon horse. But as I say, he's one of he's one of my favourite individuals. He likes Goodwood. He's run some good races here, and what he does do, he loves the firm ground.
There's number 1, Chief Burundi, and this is my idea of the real value in the race. He won at Thirsk. He got off the mark there on firm ground, He ran a very good third at Sandown, then in good to soft, and last time he was up there in that Hong Kong race at Sandown. Now, it's just a theory, Jimmy, but I don't think he was... I think he might have been one of the horses who didn't appreciate the heavy rain and possibly the little bit of slippery ground underneath. And I think he's well worth another chance today.
A lot of horses, when they, as I was saying earlier on, when they do feel themselves move a little bit, and that can happen at Sandown because the ground on the turn there has been chopped up by the jumpers in the winter, and if you do get rain on top of it, it can be a bit forced. But back to Chief Burundi, he's a very nice individual too. In the paddock I liked him a lot, but he's got quite a big weight, 9'10", and he's been very lightly raced. He didn't see the race course last season, and this in fact is only his 4th run this year. His 1 win was a maiden at Thirth that came over a mile, but I can't see him having any trouble of seeing the extra 1/4 mile out here today. And well, Luke Kamani, when he runs a horse in a handicap, you've got to be well respected.
He's by-alleged, and I don't think there's any doubt about him getting the trip. I just think that he's a horse who's relatively unexposed and ready to do a job today. He's just getting a little bit G'd up as he goes down the post there, and Pat just doing his very best to keep him calm and just sitting in behind Special Dawn.
There's a good example of Pat, actually. Pat, I think, has got some of the best hands I've ever seen in the business. Very seldom do you see a horse pull in with Pat. He can settle a horse very quickly. And as you pointed out, he's just getting a little bit worked up, and he's got a very, very awkward head carriage, Chief Burundi, and Pat's just having to drop his hands. You can see there's a lovely picture, because, as I say, he's a real natural horseman. He is getting a tiny bit on edge, isn't he? You can see Jimmy's just beginning to sweat up a little bit behind the saddle.
It is a worry. Special Dawn just ahead of him. Paul Eddery in the saddle there. Special Dawn, a pretty good handicapper on his day. And John Dunlop, of course, having taken the previous race with St. Maur's, and loves to win a race at Goodwood as well. Now, last time he did win, he was running off a mark of 89. That was last season. He's still on 89 now, or back on 89. And a good run last time at Windsor. He actually finished ahead of Rokeby Bowl, but I do think Rokeby Bowl will turn the tables on him today.
I watched him run. He had his first run of the season at Kempton in the Rosebery, and he handled the Kempton really, really well. He got a little bit of trouble with the distance, but then when he did get a run, he really flew. And, well, horses that handle Kempton usually handle Goodwood as well, because Kempton's a very sharp track. In the saddle is Paul Eddery, the brother of Pat, a younger brother, that is, and also, equally, a very good horseman.
Well, walking around down at the start there, the 1.25 miles. Of course, this time they'll be going left to right across your picture. There's Daunt, John Carroll, of course, by a gelding by Darshan, out of a saddle as well as a mare, and gone up 4 pounds for his last start. Equal success at Newbury.
He won his only start as a 3-year-old, and he's won his last start, the last of the 3, that is, this year. So he's quite a lightly raced horse. He's 10-1 from 8, but thought he looked well in the paddock.
And gelded as well, Jimmy. You don't often see horses owned by Lord Hartington so well bred being gelded. Good reason for that, I would think.
I should think maybe he might have been a bit of a naughty boy in his younger days. But, well, I'm a great believer if a horse only comes up to a certain standard, is to get them gelded.
Silver Groom now to 4-1 from 3-1 on the course. 5-1 Rokeby Bowl. Chief Burundi 7-1 from 13-2. Special Dawn is 10 from 8. Dance So Sweet and Dawn both 10-1 from shorter prices. Eli Ardensky there, 14-1, 12's now 10-1, 11-1, bar those 7.
Just going in, ball gown. Only a couple to go forward now. Special
All to
Dawn.
go.
Also Grand Selection, who's been in pretty good form. Eden Heights, 5 pound over today. Only a couple to go forward. Let's join Peter.
2 to go.
Eden Heights to go. Then the bottom weight, Wentbridge Lad.
1 to go.
This is Wentbridge Lad. 1.25 miles this time, the William Hill Cup. And that's it.
Blind off. Jockeys.
And they're away. And a pretty even break with Daunt the first to show. Daunt and Eden Heights and Eli Ardensky up there too. And Chief Burundi going on now. Chief Burundi, the top weight, picks it up from Daunt. Then Eliardensky and Eden Heights on the outside. Silver Groom, middle division. Wentbridge Lad, the back marker with Grand Selection. And Pat Edery setting out to make it all on the top weight. Chief Burundi from Daunt in second. Eden Heights is third. Then just in behind them, Rugby Bowl making good ground, and behind him Eliardensky. Silver Groom making a bit of progress too. Wentbridge Lad is still the back marker. They're passing the 6 pole, and as they do so, Chief Burundi, the top weight, with about a 2-length advantage over Daunt in second. Running downhill now. Rugby Bowl well up there, so is Special Dawn not far behind the leaders, but it's still Chief Burundi with his white face showing in the lead from Dawn. Rugby Bowl towards the outside. Eden Heights comes next. Dance So Sweet also well there on the inner. Eliardensky, Chana making a little bit of ground over on the far rail. Chief Burundi and Daunt disputing it. Silver Groom the grey coming there strongly now with Rugby Bowl also. Then on the outside it's Ball Gown, and it's Silver Dawn, last year's winner. Silver Groom, who's taken it up now. Silver Groom from Rugby Bowl and Daunt, and now producing a good run on the stand side is Grand Selection, but it's Silver Groom the leader. Silver Groom from Grand Selection on the near side. Grand Selection coming to challenge Silver Groom as they race into the closing stages. Silver Groom on the far side, Grand Selection on the near side. Grand Selection taking a fractional advantage now as they race up towards the line, and now going clear. Grand Selection wins it from Silver Groom. Daunt was third, Rugby Bowl 4, Bulgarn 5, and then Chana, and a faller was Eden Heights. And looking back to the furlong pole, Eden Heights rider Alan Daly is still on the ground after slipping up Eden Heights at the furlong pole. But the winner of the William Hill handicap is number 9, Grand Selection, owned by Mr. M.B. Horton, trained by Michael Bell and ridden by Michael Fenton. Second was number 11, Silver Groom, owned by the Silver Darling Partnership, trained by Reg Akehurst and ridden by Jimmy Quinn. And third, number 4, Daunt, owned by Lord Hardington, trained by John Gosden and ridden by John Carroll, with fourth, number 3, Rugby Bowl.
Yes, he's won it. He's won it by half a length, Grand Selection. The grey horse second, Silver Groom, and the third horse a long way back. 3-4 lengths back to the third horse. And there is Tony Daly, Arthur Daly as they call him, and he is shaken, as you can see, but he's on his feet. He looks as though he may have hurt his wrist, and this was an incident that happened about a furlong down. And why did it happen? Look for the dark maroon colours. They're still in 5th place, 5th or 6th place here. Daunt is on his inside, and his horse just seemed to stumble. He didn't flip heels. He's gone over his right shoulder, and Tony Daly, luckily, looks to be not severely hurt. Well, 2 furlongs out, Silver Groom supporters were counting their money, but then on the outside, just when everything looked certain, came Grand Selection, a horse who was out of form earlier on in the season, now has come to his peak, has dropped down the handicap, and with 8 stone 3, thwarts the gamble, the second gamble on Silver Groom, who looked certain to win 3 furlongs out when he pulled his way into the lead. But Grand Selection too strong on the day. Michael Bell's horse is coming back into the form after a quiet spell, but the handicap has got the measure of Silver Groom, and despite the fact that he was pulling a train 3 furlongs out, there was just one too good for him at the weights today, and that horse was Grand Selection in the trainership of Michael Bell. Well, here's that incident again, and Jimmy Lindley, could we bring you in here? What would have happened here?
Well, I think as he tried to pull him out, Julian, he's just clipped the horse's heels in front of him, and as you saw then, he didn't actually really go down. He's lost his foot in, and, well, this gave him a rather a nasty fall, but there's no doubt about it that it was clipping the horse's heels in front of him as he tried to get his way off the rail.
Now Michael Fenton returning on his first ever winner at the Goodwood Festival. He'd ridden a winner here before in '93, but not at the festival, and he returns on this 12-to-1 winner of the William Hill Cup. The official margin, a neck and 4 lengths. The Grand Selection winner now of 8 of his 23 races. Number 28 of the season for his trainer, Michael Bell, and 24 for Michael Fenton, and the starting prices as follows.
The winner here for 9 Grand Selection at 12-to-1. The second number 11 Silver Groom, 4-to-1 favourite, and third number 4 Daunt at 10-to-1. At Beverley, 2:30, first number 5 Mr. Respecto at 9-to-2, second number 2 Nikita Star at 6-to-1, and third number 9 Tifran at 9-to-1. The Totes returns win there, £5.50, and Beverley the 3-5 race. First number 2 Gold Blade, the 7-to-4 favourite, second number 7 Milltown Classic at 4-to-1, third number 3 Fairy Wings at 2-to-1. Tote returns win £2.60, places 130, 190, the dual forecast £5, and the straight forecast there £8.39, non-runners number 1 and 6.
Still to come, the King George Stakes, a Group 3 race, Eva Golf Rose, and evening performance, the first and second last year, meeting again. And by then we'll have news of Tony Daly following his fall from Eden Heights. But now we go back to Yorkshire versus Sussex, the second innings of the match. Yorkshire batting 18-1 as we rejoin Richie Benno.
Thanks, Julian. Yes, they were doing it well at the start, Moxon and Vaughan. Then suddenly Vaughan was the man dismissed. Lurie's the bowler at the moment. Martin Moxon faced...
The big race of the day now on BBC Two. Back to Julian Wilson at Goodwood.
Welcome back to a breezy Goodwood. Still to come, the speed test of the day, the King George Stakes. But a few moments ago we saw the presentation for the William Hill Cup, which was won by the relative outsider Grand Selection. Grand Selection earned by Mr. Mark Hortin, who received the trophy from John Brown, the managing director of the sponsoring group, William Hill Bookmakers, and of course the well-known West Ham United supporter, the team that didn't buy Alan Shearer. And a postscript to that race, Alan Daly, and apologies, Alan, for calling you Tony, but Alan Daly is still in the racecourse hospital, but there seems to be nothing seriously wrong other than a bad shaking after his fall from Eden Heights in the William Hill Cup. On out of the King George Stakes, runners and riders from Peter O'Sullivan.
Number 1 is Hever Golf Rose, ridden by Jason Weaver. 2 Cool Jazz, Richard Quinn. 3 Bunty Boo, John Reed. 4 Leap for Joy, Gary Hind. 5 is Brave Edge, Pat Edery. 6 Croft Pools, Steve Williams. 7 Crowded Avenue, Seb Sanders. 8 Evening Performance, Chris Rutter. 9 Lucky Parks, ridden by John Carroll. 10 Welsh Mist, Willie Ryan. 11 Almaty from Ireland, ridden by Kevin Darley. 12 Lucky Lionel, Richard Hughes. 13 Rambling Bear, Ray Cochrane. And 14 Amazing Bay, ridden by Paul Edery. And here's how they bet.
Evening performance opened at 3-to-1 well back this morning. Almaty is 4-to-1 from 7-to-2. Hever Golf Rose easing from 6-to-7. Rambling Bear 7 out to 9. Lucky Lionel is 10-to-1 from 8-to-1. Lucky Parks is 12 from 10, and Leap for Joy 16-to-1 from 14-to-1, and that's followed by 16's Crowded Avenue. Remember, that was 33-to-1 this morning. 16-to-1 Brave Edge from 14. Croft Pool drifting out sharply there, 14 now 20. Cool Jazz is 20-to-1 together with Bunty Boo. Amazing Bay 20 from 25, and the outsider Welsh Mist is 50-to-1.
This is the race that was won in successive years by Loch Song. Now Hever Golf Rose is bidding to repeat that achievement. And here she is, the flying machine that won 12 months ago and went on to win the Prix de l'Abbé at Longchamp. This is the way that she won here. It was quite spectacular.
Palisade Episode being pressed by Evening Performance now. And these two well clear at the moment of those on the stand side. Evening Performance has taken it up now from Palisade Episode. Then comes Don't Worry Me on the near side. Mr. Topagigio and Millstream putting in a run. Struggle has got it to do from the rear. Has surely got no chance of picking him up. It's Evening Performance on the far side, or on the near side, putting in a tremendous run is Heaver Golf Rose. Heaver Golf Rose probably gets up just on the line to beat Evening Performance, with Saint Express splitting the two. What a finish that by Heaver Golf Rose, drawn two and storming up the stands rails.
Heaver Golf Rose getting up to beat Evening Performance by half a length. They meet again today. Evening Performance now meets her rival on 2 pounds better terms, for which has made the greater improvement. The times have been fast today, but nothing like as fast as they were this day last year, and the reason for that is quite a strong wind against, but believe me, the ground is riding fast. Here is the Abbey winner, and here are Jimmy and Jim.
Thank you, Julian. Well, there is Heaver Golf Rose, and as Julian said, what a filly she is. She really is. Perhaps I should call her a mare, because she's 5 years old now. But, well, she was an Abbey winner, and it takes a pretty smart animal to win the Abbey at Longchamp on Arc Day. But, Jim, I can't help thinking that, although she can handle very fast ground, I can't help thinking that to be right at the top of the tree, right up to her best form, she does like a little bit of cut.
Yes, I think it's fair to conclude, Jimmy, that early on in her career she was winning on that fast ground and good ground in much lesser company. Her win in the Prix de l'Abbé, of course, stamped her as an outstanding sprinter, and in that class she just might need the very much the cut in the ground. It was soft at Longchamp when she did win. I think the most interesting feature of her career is the number of starts she has. Last year she had 13 starts, and already this year, we're up, what is it, the 30th of July, she's had 6 starts already. She hasn't won, which I think is also significant so far, but she just might be coming good in the second half of the season.
Looked well enough in the paddock, and, well, her trainer has done a great job with her, Joe Norton. Joe Norton, who learned his trade under Barry Hills, and how many top-class trainers Barry has taught, Peter Chapelheim being another one. But there you can see Jason Weaver. This is his only day, in fact, at Goodwood, because he starts a suspension tomorrow, and he was saying to me, Jim, it's a pretty stiff sentence when you think about it, to miss 4 days at Goodwood, where you have 4 days at some other meeting and you're not losing quite as much.
This filly, a very good run in the July Cup. I think she's ready to do herself justice. There is the big danger, of course, or some would believe is the one to beat. Number 8, Evening Performance, and we saw her in that replay before, just being touched off by Heaver Golf Rose. Well, her win at Sandown, Jimmy, was very good because the stalls were on the stand side there, and although she was drawn high, she then had to make a beeline for that far rail, and I'm not sure how much ground you actually lose by having to do that. It was the place to be, but she had to use up quite a bit of speed early, and the stiff 5, in many people's opinion, was going to find her out that day, so you couldn't fault her that time.
No, and speed she's got to burn. She's one of the fastest fillies I think I've seen for a long, long time. She really hits the gate running, and she's drawn 9 here, and I think probably we'll see that Chris Rutter, who's in the saddle today, will be tacking, if he does get the start, tacking towards the stands rail, because the stalls are situated that side, and you have got a little bit of advantage the lower you are in the draw.
The draw is interesting because she's drawn 9 and Heaver Golf Rose has drawn 12. They're only 3 stalls apart. Almaty, who must be a very big chance here, winner of the Moulcombe last year and racing in pretty good form. Good third, I thought, in the King's Stand at Ascot behind Pivotal and Mind Games.
Visor on for the first time, and he's also running with his tongue tied down, so he's had a little bit of breathing trouble. But as you say, there's a lot of ability. Remember when he won the Moulcombe here?
And Evening Performance, he's now 11-4 from 3-1. Almaty is 4 from 7-2. Heaver Golf Rose just easing out there now, 7-1 from 6, 9-1, bar those 3.
That's Rambling Bear going in. Lucky Parks number 9, the sheepskin noseband, will go into stall number 1. That's over on the far side. That's Bunty Boo next to us in the stalls. The hooped sleeves.
Jockeys!
That's it, and they're away. Lucky Parks breaks very fast towards the near side, and Lucky Parks the leader on the near side, but Heaver Golf Rose takes it up on the far side. Heaver Golf Rose, the overall leader from evening performance, and Amazing Bay, and Lucky Parks on the right of the picture. But it's Heaver Golf Rose. Heaver Golf Rose, the leader from evening performance, as they race down the hill now, past the 3-pole. Heaver Golf Rose in the center from Croft Pool on the far side, showing very good speed. Bunty Boo just in behind him. On the near side, it's Evening Performance and Lucky Parks. Al Matisse getting into the picture too. And it's Evening Performance now comes to challenge Heaver Golf Rose as they come down towards the furlong pole. Heaver Golf Rose from Evening Performance on the near side. Lucky Parks, and also making good cruises. Crowded Avenue too as they race up towards the line, and here comes Rambling Bear on the inside, and Rambling Bear's going to get up. Rambling Bear gets up on the line. Rambling Bear gets up from Heaver Golf Rose, and on the near side, Croft Pool, very doubtful, very close for third, but Rambling Bear got up on the inside with another absolutely storming run to win this for the second time. For Ray Cochrane, who won it in 1989 on Starter Blessed, a really storming finish. It's not impossible that Cool Jazz got in the frame over on the far side in the closing stages, but no doubt about it that number 13, Rambling Bear, owned by Mrs. Michael Hill, trained by Michael Blanchard, and ridden by Ray Cochrane, got up to beat Heaver Golf Rose in the center. Heaver Golf Rose making a gallant attempt to win this in successive years, owned by Heaver Racing Club, trained by Joe Norton and ridden by Jason Weaver. And the third I wouldn't care to be specific about, but could have been Croft Pool in third, with Cool Jazz right up with him. But this is the winner, Rambling Bear by Sharoon out of Supreme Rose by Frimley Park, the ultimate dazzling winner of this sizzling King George VI sprint.
Yeah, we can check on that third place, no doubt about the winner. Rambling Bear storming from the back of the field. Heaver Golf Rose is second, and the third horse is indeed Croft Pool. The fourth horse, as Peter surmised, was Cool Jazz. Fifth was Crowded Avenue, and oh, so near for Heaver Golf Rose, who did it the other way round this time. Remember, he came from last to first. She came from last to first last year. This time, she's jumped out, made almost every yard of the running, but she was collared by Rambling Bear, who'd come from way, way off the pace at the end of a terrific race. You can see how far back he's come from. There was only one behind him, 2 furlongs out, Ray Cochrane, and he's looking for room here. Meanwhile, up front, Heaver Golf Rose, always pursued by Evening Performance. These two mares were always in the van. She just starts to drift to the left now, Heaver Golf Rose, despite a left-hand drive from Jason Weaver. And now Ray Cochrane sees daylight. He switches to the stand side under Rambling Bear. And what a run he gets from this Cheroot horse. So disappointing in his last 2 runs after that brilliant win at Lingfield. But he sprouts wings, gets up to beat Heaver Golf Rose, who, remember, had a £10 Group 1 penalty, with Croft Pool back in third, and the time a sensational 57.98 seconds.
Yes, that was really some run home by this 3-year-old son of Sharood out of Supreme Rose by Frimley Park. Frimley Park, who was himself a pretty good sprinter. 62nd winner at Goodwood for Ray Cochrane, who rode his first Goodwood winner back in 1982.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree a wonderful
performance. On his first success on Carlton Oval in the Roughmere Stakes.
Trained by Michael Blanchard, driven by Ray Cochrane.
And this his second victory in the King George VI Stakes. Rambling Bear the winner. The starting price is as follows.
And another good result for bookmakers. Rambling Bear the winner at 10 to 1. Second, Heber Golf Rose at 7 to 1. And third, Croft Pool at 20 to 1.
And here are the starting prices for
And the 3:35 race at Beverley, a win for the odds-on favourite Musical Dancer at 4 to 6. Second, Dream of Nomi 13 to 8. And third, Bo Roberto 15 to 2.
Latest news of Alan Daly. He's been taken to Chichester Hospital for observation. We're back tomorrow with the big race of the 5-day Goodwood meeting. It's the Sussex Stakes, a fascinating race. All 10 horses have stood their ground, and this is the latest betting. Charnwood Forest, a 5 to 4 shot. It's 9 to 2 First Island, 11 to 2 Sorbitar, 8 to 1 Mattia, 10 to 1 Ali Royal, and 14 to 1 Bar. And that's one of 4 races on day 2 of glorious Goodwood. The other features, the Lanson Champagne Vintage Stakes. Willie Carson rides Psalm here. The opener is the Marriott Hotels Goodwood Handicap, and the big handicap, the 350, the Tote Gold Trophy. So, a terrific day on day 1. Cricket continues now on BBC One, but from glorious Goodwood, it's goodbye from us all.
One this afternoon includes the opening stages of the decathlon and preparations for the 200 and 400 metres on the track. Meanwhile, we're taking to the track here on BBC Two, but the running's being done on 4 legs at glorious Goodwood. Coverage is introduced by Julian Wilson.
Hello, it's day 2 at glorious Goodwood, the big day of the week. The Sussex Stakes is worth almost £90,000. It's the biggest race of the year at Goodwood. Well, the weather was pretty dull and overcast this morning, but in the last 10 minutes it's really brightened up. The sun's burst through, there's a bit of blue sky away to the east. I think we're in for a glorious afternoon. Yesterday's crowd, surprisingly, was only 13,000, but over 20,000 are expected today for the race of the week, and as you can see, they're out having a lunch, they're milling around, working out what's going to win the first race of the day, and in the Richmond enclosure, some of them are holding on to their hats, but sipping a little champagne, and the view they enjoy is one that never fails to delight the Sussex Downs in their full green and golden glory, the English countryside at its very best. Well, the going remains officially good to firm. The combination of artificial watering and some light rain overnight represented about 1/6 of an inch of rain. The times yesterday were, on the whole, slower than, or certainly slower than they were 12 months ago. I would think the racing surface will be getting near to perfect now. The Sussex Stakes is the centrepiece of 4 races on day 2. The supporting features are the £50,000 Tote Gold Trophy at 350. And at 2:45, the Lanson Champagne Stakes, which 12 months ago was won by the eventual winter favourite for the Derby. That seems a long time ago. The horse was Alha. And 3 non-runners this afternoon. In the first race, number 6, Beaucliff Court, is a non-runner. Beaucliff Court in the 250 and a non-runner, as indeed in the 350 race is number 9, Three Hills. Both of those were drawn by Barry Hills because the ground is too fast. In the 6th race, the 5 o'clock race, number 1, Butrinto, doesn't go. And after day 1, there's no overall leader in the race for the London Club's Charity Trophy, which usually goes to Frankie Dettori, which goes to the leading rider over the 5 days of the meeting. 6 riders, as you can see, have all ridden 1 winner: John Carroll, David Harrison, Ray Cochrane, Kevin Darley, Michael Fenton, Darren Biggs, and Brent Thompson. That might possibly be 7. Well, the big news of the day is that Willie Carson, who was planning his comeback today after that crashing fall that he suffered last Friday night at Newmarket, he will not, after all, be riding. He's arrived at the meeting, he's seen the doctor, and, well, we were hoping that Willie was going to join us today, but I gather there has been a hiccup. He's not going to ride, that's the bottom line, and Sam will be ridden in the Lanson-Champagne Stakes by Richard Hills. Well, my special guest is another wounded soldier, one who has to be resuming before too long. It is, of course, the champion jockey, Frankie Dettori. Frankie, first of all, what news of your injury?
Well, here again, I'm not riding. But, yes, good news. I sat on the horse for the first time this week, and I feel a lot better. I haven't decided yet when I'm going to come back. When the elbow permits, I will be back. Obviously, it'll take about 2 or 3 weeks, but good news, at least I'm sitting on the horse.
Is it still giving you a bit of jet, the elbow?
Some feelings there. Obviously, my muscle deteriorated in the last 6 weeks, so it's a procedure to get the muscle back, but as soon as he's back and as soon as I feel comfortable, I should be back in the saddle.
It must be difficult coming back, that first ride back when you've been off. I know it was tough for you last year after your fall at Haydock.
Yes, I had a very bad fall at Haydock, and I came back, I think, 10 days after, and I felt really comfortable until I actually sat on the racehorse the first time, and I had real back trouble. I mean, it's never the same from standing and working out until you actually sit on the racehorse and try it out. So it was very uncomfortable, and I guess that was the case of Willie Castle this afternoon. He had a very nasty fall on Friday night. He probably gave it a couple of days rest, and as it happens, he hasn't made it back today.
But when you came back, you won on your second ride, and then everything was okay again.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's nothing like a winner to put you right, but
no pain.
No pain after all.
Charnwood Forest, of course, is the horse that you would have ridden in the big race today. You missed him at Ascot because of the fall. You're missing him today. Is he, well, obviously he's a big favourite chance, isn't he?
Yes, I mean, I've got a long list of horses I've missed, but I must say, if the Charnwood Forest repeats the Queen Anne's performance, I think it'll be very hard to oppose. He's done very well throughout the winter in Dubai. He's a mature horse now, and I think he's the one to be on today in the Sussex.
Great. Well, stay with us, Frankie, but now for news of the Sussex Stakes and the other betting. There was anti-post betting opened last Friday on the Sussex Stakes. Charnwood Forest has been favourite throughout. He's 5-4 this morning. That's your news from Graham Rock.
Yes, thank you, Julian. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, punters could do with the result today. Yesterday, no favourites, no second favourites, a whitewash for the bookmakers. But in the Sussex Stakes, our big race today, if we now look at the betting, we can see that Charnwood Forest has been well backed again this morning. He's 6-4 early, now into 5-4. Bets of 20,000, 10,000, 4,000. And he's going to start a very warm favourite. In the anti-post market, First Island well back 2. A nibble each way at Ali Royal, 12 into 11. And Keeman Kai, too, one of the outsiders, probably going to reach a place at best, I would think. And that's the Sussex Stakes. Now, if we move on to our next big betting race, the Tote Gold Trophy. Here we have the gamble of the day, Arabian Scory, open 13-2 with one of the independents, generally 6-1 and 5-1, now down to 7-2, clear favourite. Ambassador 7s from 9, Classic Eagle 33 into 20, including a bet of £500 each way in Victor Chandler's Newmarket cash betting shop. So a local tip there for Classic Eagle. The 245, the Lanson-Champagne Vintage Stakes, wide open betting here because there's 2 or 3 fancied. Psalm 9-4 down to 7-4 with Hills. Putra 7-2 into 5-2 with Ladbrokes 130 still available. And Fun Galore, very, very popular each way. And as we can see there, not as straightforward as it looks. 4 or 5 runners strongly fancied. And our first race on television, the Marriott Hotel's Goodwood Handicap. Test of stamina. A non-runner here, so these movements are exaggerated a little bit. Southern Power, a popular favourite, but Salaman 6-1 down to 7-2. Local horse, very strongly fancied. Mirador popular, 6-1, 5-1, a sound each way bet.
Graham, thank you. We move on to the first race of the day. It's the Marriott Hotel Goodwood Stakes. Runners and riders from Peter O'Sullivan.
Number 1 is Southern Power, ridden by Richard Quinn. 2 is Invest Wisely, Ray Cochran. 3, Salaman, Pat Edery. 4, Sea Victor, Michael Hills. 5, Unchanged, Brett Doyle. 7, Cypress Avenue, Dane O'Neill. 8, Paradise Navy, Richard Hughes. 9, Mirador, Gary Bardwell. And 10 is Coleridge, ridden by Matthew Henry. And here's how they bet.
And Southern Power, easy to back on the course, open 5-2, now up to 3-1. Salaman steady on 7-2, Mirador 9-2, Paradise Navy there, drifted out to 8-1, back to 7. Sea Victor is 9 from 8. Invest Wisely, 10-1, 12-1, now 11-1. Unchanged is 12, unchanged. 16-1, Coleridge from 14. 33-1, Cypress Avenue, the outsider.
Great, great. Well, only 2 horses since the war have won the Ascot Stakes and the Goodwood Stakes in the same year. They were Renard Volant in 1946 and Halin in 1980, and that's the target of Southern Power today. And this is how he won the first leg at Ascot.
As they turn into the straight now, 2.5 furlongs out. Sea Victor the leader from Fujiyama, Crest and Merit. Then comes Southern Power, Rocky Forum. They're fanning out across the course. And Southern Power on the outside, pressed by Merit. Fujiyama, Crest over on the far side. Mirador is finishing well. Dundee in with a chance, and it's Southern Power showing in front. Out in the middle from Merit and Mirador. Then Candle Smile running on. So Sea Victor coming to the last half furlong. And Southern Power is just going to hold on. Southern Power is the winner. Mirador second. Candle Smile third.
Well, today he meets the runner-up Mirador on identical terms. Frankie, is he up to winning?
Well, he's a funny old customer, Southern Power. He actually didn't mature till he's 5. Olivier Perlier gave him a great ride, a very confident ride. I think, obviously, he's going to be on the short list, but 10 stone to carry over 2.5 miles is pretty a lot of weight to carry.
Next horse. 10 stone, but he's up to carrying the weight, I'm sure. Incidentally, we've just heard that Kevin Darley is standing by to ride Alhast in the Sussex Stakes in place of Willie Carson. This is the horse that finished second to Southern Power in the Ascot Stakes, Mirador. And Frankie, you like his chances?
Yes, I would prefer Mirador to Southern Power in this race. I know Southern Power actually beat Mirador at Ascot, but it was the first race of the mare, and she went on and won a race after the great achievement she had at Ascot. And I think, you know, perhaps she just improved that 3/4 of her length what she was beaten at Ascot.
Oh, she's a tough mare, and she looks great. She's done plenty of work, jumped plenty of hurdles in her life. Another fancy here, number 3, Sullivan. But let's now join Jimmy Lindley and Jim McGrath.
Thank you, Julian. Well, a lovely day here at Goodwood. The sun really shining down. It's got quite warm, and well, these horses are going to feel it. They're really going to have to stay 2.5 miles, and this is one horse who can do just that. He's best when held up just off the pace, and he really stays well. He's got Richard Quinn in the saddle. Richard's riding in great form this season. He's only 2 short of his 100th winner of the season. I wonder if he can make it 99 here today on Southern Power, Jim.
Yes, I think there's a fair chance that he can, Jimmy. Ran off 83 last time, runs off 85 today. And as we can see there, very eager to get out onto the course and get on with it.
He looks nicely on his toes. Reg Akerst, who trains this son of Midian, in fact, he's a great guy, Jim, to freshen a horse up. If you get a stale handicapper that comes from another yard, within 2 or 3 months, Reg has got his form back. And I was talking to him the other day, and he said that, funny enough, Jimmy, he said, I like training the older horses perhaps better than the 2.
Well, he's had tremendous success with horses from other stables. They invariably seem to improve, and whatever he does, whatever the knack is, he's certainly got it, and this is one of the products of that knack. Number 3 is Salaman, and I think a real chance here in the first race. Salaman, a good stayer, 3rd in this race last year, runs off a reasonable mark of 79, needs a good stamina test, and I think there probably will be enough pace here today, Jimmy, unlike on other occasions in these races, which can be muddling affairs. If there is a bit of pace on, this horse is certain to be there.
He really comes home well in the last quarter of a mile. This year he's had 4 runs, and he hasn't quite found an edges yet this season, but I have heard from John Dunlop that he's beginning to show more enthusiasm in his work at home, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't see the best run of the year for this very nice gelding by Sommerez.
Well, of course, the betting seems to indicate that as well. Salaman, a very strong move for him today, and I think you've got to follow that move, especially from the John Dunlop stable, in form. Making their way out onto the course now. They have a long walk, the walkway that goes from the paddock, goes along that, in front of that brick wall, just there in the foreground, with the restaurants above that. Great facilities here. Wonderful facilities at Goodwood. Paradise Navy, number 8. Richard Hughes in the saddle. Been generally a frustrating type Paradise Navy, but did return to the winning list at Bath last time. That was on rock-hard ground. Has won only 2 of his 31 starts, though. He's a 7-year-old. If you'd been following him, you'd have the seat out of your pants.
He's a funny old individual, this fella, Paradise Navy. In fact, he stays really well, but he's got very little turn of foot. He just keeps on galloping, so he usually gets 1 or 2 too good for him when it matters at the right end. But he was rather interesting to watch him at Bath. I was there. He never came off the bridle, and Richard Hughes, who rode him and rides him here again today, rode a wonderful race on him. He never let him off the bridle, and I think, well, he looked like he could have won and won 8 to 9 lengths, but as I say, when he comes off the bridle, he doesn't find all that much. But Charlie Edgerton trains him. He loves him. He's a wonderful character. Running in blinkers. He usually runs in blinkers, and well, he's going to the post really well. I had a look at him just before they put the saddle on him, and in this lovely sunshine here, high up on the Sussex Downs, he looked an absolute picture.
Number 9 has won the best turned out. That's Mirador. Gary Bardwell in the saddle, and she's a mare who's struck form. The run in the Ascot Stakes was first class, and she went on to prove that that was no fluke by stepping out to win at Chepstow last time. Interesting, Jimmy, here they're just in front of the stands now. This is the flip start. There are no stalls here. It always intrigues me the way that there is a draw, though, and just watching flip starts, it never seems to take any shape at all. Doesn't seem to resemble the draw at all.
No, it's funny, Jim, when I was riding just when it started, there was, in fact, no stalls, and there was an open barrier, and one of the geezers was that if ever you were drawn badly, you'd shout out to the starter you couldn't get in, sir, and he used to say, well, get in where you can, and you shoot right across behind the horses and take the favoured draw. But no, I agree with you. I mean, jumping, there's no draw, so if you haven't got stalls, well, there we are. We've always had a draw.
Southern Power still drifting now to 100 to 30 from 3 to 1. Salmon steady on 7 to 2. Mirador 9 to 2. Paradise Navy 7s from 8s. Sea Victor is 9 from 8. Invest Wisely 12, 11 now 10 to 1. 12 to 1 unchanged. 16 Coleridge, and now 40 to 1 Cypress Avenue.
Sea Victor right there in the centre of that group, number 4, in the very light jacket, the light blue cap. Sea Victor. Well, what a tough campaigner this fellow is by slip anchor. He's a 4-year-old. He's already had 25 starts. And I think he's had about 9 of them already this season. A real tough campaigner, and certainly one that you couldn't discard here, Jimmy.
No, I agree with that. One thing he does do, he stays really well. He was 4th in the Ascot Stakes. He was 4th in the Chester Cup, and a real character, you say. And Michael Hill's in the saddle. Michael bidding for his 42nd winner of the season here, and he'll be one of those that's really galloping all the way through the last quarter of a mile. As you say, he's by slip anchor, Jim, and a really hardy character. He's got I was watching these all the 9 runners walking around the ring. In fact, we've got an absentee in Bowcliff Court, but they've all got their own individual character. I mean, this is the stay-in races. They go from about 3 up until about 10 or 11. These old horses keep going round. And I always say that if a jockey fell off, most of them will follow the others round.
Number 5 is unchanged. Brett Doyle taking the ride here. Another one for Clive Britton. 2 wins from 14 starts unchanged and a 12-to-1 chance at the moment. I think it's going to be interesting, Jimmy, to see just the ground, how it is today. They did water overnight, and also there was a little bit of rain, and I understand it's going to be a little bit slower than it was yesterday.
I'm sure it will be. We stayed down in Chichester last night, and we had quite a heavy downpour around about sort of 11, up past 10 to 11 o'clock, and as you say, they were putting a bit of water on as we left the track last night. I think the ground is sure to ride a little bit slower than it was, but I think a lot of the trainers would like to see that, because it really was fast yesterday.
Well, nobody wants them to jar up, do they?
No, and it was ground, Jim, that actually does jar a horse, really, because when it's just good enough, horses let themselves go. And funny enough, you can do more damage on that than you can if it's really, really firm.
And now we have joint favourites, Southern Power still weak now, 7-2 joint with Salaman at 7-2. Mirador is 9-2, 7-1, bar those 3.
Frankie, up and down and roundabout, what sort of race is this to ride?
Well, it's one of those races then all jockeys try to avoid. It's 2.5 miles, it's very hard work, and it's pretty tricky actually. One bend that most of the people don't get to see from the stands is the bottom bend, and it's really sharp. So when you ride such a big horses like 2 milers, you have to be kind of careful.
How do you see the race being run today?
Well, you know, at Goodwood there is never a race they go really slow. They always go quite a good pace, especially the ground being fast. And I would say that the bottom weights would take a prominent position to try to tell the big weights from the fancy horses.
From that bottom bend upwards is quite a climb up till you got the top of the hill there.
Yes, this is where we do get a chance to give a horse a breather just before the final turn. There's a little bit of rising.
Well, they're all... Yes, Peter.
Yes, they are indeed, and Invest Wisely is the leader from C. Victor and Cypress Avenue. Invest Wisely, Ray Cochran from C. Victor and Cypress Avenue, then the uneasy favourite, Southern Power in 4th on the rail, unchanged towards the outside. Salaman, the striped colours following Southern Power. The back marker at the moment is the club horse, the Elite Racing Club horse, Paradise Navy, and Invest Wisely making it from C. Victor and Cypress Avenue, and Southern Power on the inside. Going quite a decent gallop too, but it's 2.5 miles. They have to stay. Still the back marker, Paradise Navy, and still the leader, Invest Wisely. And Invest Wisely with about an 8-length advantage over C. Victor in 2nd. In 3rd then is Southern Power. The top weight is being followed by Cypress Avenue and Unchanged. And then the striped colours of Salaman, and then the old man, 8-year-old Coleridge in the blinkers that just about upsides him. Still the Elite Racing horse Paradise Navy, the back marker, but now the distance between first and last has been reduced to about 10 lengths overall, with still Invest Wisely and Ray Cochran the leader from C. Victor and Southern Power. Then a clear 4th is Salaman ahead of Cypress Avenue and Unchanged, and behind them Coleridge. And then Mirador and Paradise Navy. Invest Wisely by about 2.5 lengths from C. Victor and the top one, Southern Power. Little gap then to Salaman. A clear 4th ahead of Cypress Avenue and Unchanged. Then Coleridge, Mirador, and Paradise Navy. Past the halfway mark in this Marriott Hotels Goodwood Stakes, and still Invest Wisely, the leader. Invest Wisely from C. Victor in 2nd. 3rd is Southern Power. Losing a bit of ground now is Salaman as they begin this uphill climb. Still Invest Wisely from C. Victor. Just in behind them, Southern Power travelling well, making progress over on the far rail is Coleridge. Now making ground again is Salaman under Paradorib. But Invest Wisely still the leader from C. Victor, Southern Power. Then come Coleridge and Salaman as they run downhill now towards the home straight. And still Invest Wisely from C. Victor, Southern Power. Then Salaman. Then comes Coleridge. Making very good progress now is Paradise Navy with Unchanged on the outside. And Invest Wisely being tackled now by C. Victor, who takes it up. Here comes Southern Power and also Salaman and Unchanged towards the outside. It's C. Victor the leader as they come down now inside the final two. C. Victor from Southern Power, Unchanged towards the outside. And it's Southern Power who's gone to the front now. Southern Power from C. Victor and Unchanged. Southern Power, C. Victor, Unchanged. These three as they race up towards the line. Southern Power on the near side, C. Victor on the far side. Southern Power from C. Victor. And up the line is a photo. Southern Power has won it from C. Victor in second and Unchanged third. Paradise Navy a distance fourth, and then came Salaman, and behind Salaman was Mirador, and then Cypress Avenue, and behind Cypress Avenue was Coleridge, and finally the long-time leader Invest Wisely. And so officially it's a photograph, but little doubt about the winner. Number one, Southern Power, becomes the third horse since the war to win the Ascot Stakes and the Goodwood Stakes in the same year. Southern Power, owned by the Lucayan stud, trained by Reg Akhurst and ridden by Richard Quinn, is declared the winner after quick consolation of the Hawkeye camera. Second is number 4, C. Victor, owned by Mr. David J. Abel, trained by Jimmy Harris and ridden by Michael Hills. And third, number 5, Unchanged, owned by Mr. Michael Simmons, trained by Clive Britton and ridden by Brett Doyle, with fourth, number 8, Paradise Navy. The winner, Southern Power, by Midian out of Tap the Line by Tap on Wood.
And this is the image that Hawkeye showed. Southern Power under 10 stone by a neck from C. Victor, who for a moment headed him. Back a length and a half in third is Unchanged. Well, what a performance under 10 stone. A fine ride by Richard Quinn, always travelling well in third place, kept a little bit up his sleeve, ready for the final drive.
Yes, it looked like for the moment Unchanged was going to take up the run in about the furlong marker, but he just died under Brett Doyle's hands, and Southern Power would have got his performance under 10 stone.
Well, he was always in the first three. The blinkered first time, Invest Wisely made the running till 2.5 down. C. Victor and Michael Hills took it over there, but Southern Power and Richard Quinn always had them covered. Salmon flattered for a moment in the stripe colours on the outside. The last to challenge was Unchanged on the outside, and Brett Doyle as the leader drops back. But Richard Quinn was waiting his moment under his big weight to make his challenge.
Yes, perhaps Richard Quinn was a little bit shocked to see C. Victor battling on so well. I think a lot of credit should go to the runners-up as well. Never really gave up until the final strides.
He really came back for a moment. Reg Akhurst must have had that awful moment. Oh, I'm going to be second again in a big handicap, because C. Victor's really come back at him. It's nod on the nod there.
Yes, these two gutsy horses, none of them wanted to give in, and in the end was the top weight. Southern Power was running so great this year, what came out and won by a neck.
Well, Olivier Pellier gave him a beautiful ride at Ascot. Richard Quinn's done the same at Goodwood. The winner returned at 7-2. One for the punters at last.
And that's Richard Quinn's 99th winner of the season, puts him in line for a possibility of achieving the century in our next race, the Lançon Champagne Vintage Stakes, and Richie rides the unbeaten Putra for a stable Paul Cole. In fact, there are 3 unbeaten horses in that Lançon Champagne. But what a game performance by this horse, who has duplicated the triumphs of the winners in 1946 and 1980 who prefaced victory in this race by triumph in the Ascot Stakes at the Royal Meeting. 3 out of 23 for Southern Power, a fine training performance by Reg A. Curse, number 20 of the season for him, and the starting prices as follows.
And the winner, number 1, Southern Power, the second favourite at 7-2. Second, number 4, Sea Victor at 10-1. And third, number 5, Unchanged at 12-1. The non-runner there, number 6. And the favourite, number 3, Salaman, 130.
Laguna, registration number N524. TOA, number 2 car mark, which means with this vehicle immediately.
And at Doncaster, our first race up there. First, number 2, Russian Raider at 3-1. Second, number 3, Westminster, the 2-1 favourite. And third, number 7, North Bear at 9-2, 7 rand. The total returns there win £4.40, places 270, 180. The dual forecast £4.70, and the straight forecast £9.21.
Well, what a performance. Consolation for Reg Akers for the defeat of Silver Groom yesterday. And as I was saying beforehand, only the third since the war to win the 2 big 2.5-mile handicaps since the war. Renaud Dolan and Halin were the other 2. And here's now Jonathan Powell.
Yes, with me, Reg Akers, who seems to have a really dab hand with all these stayers. This was a fine performance with 10 stone, Reg.
Yes, was a little worried. I think if we'd have won at Newmarket, we'd have gone up another pound and we wouldn't have won, so that was a blessing.
But watching the race unfold in the last furlong, Sea Victor looked for a minute as though he might get back up. Were you confident you'd hold on?
No. He was pulling a bit too hard at the bottom of the hill. They didn't go as good a gallop as I'd like to see them. And Richard thought the same, but I said, be patient, don't rush into the front with that weight. Something's sure to come and collar you, which he did just that, you know.
But you've only had this horse 2 or 3 months. He's won at the Ascot Stakes at Royal Ascot and now Goodwood. It's really a fine performance.
Yes, well, he stays awfully well, doesn't he? You know, I mean, that's what wins these races. They got to stay.
And your great ally, the mighty Quinn here, seemed a very good effect.
He's do me any day of the week. He's always given me great rides.
He really is quite close for a minute.
Yes. You can just, I know Quinny, and I know he'd just force a little bit more out, you know. Well, I was hoping he was, anyway.
Well, that's 99 for the season, and hopefully he'll ride his 100th winner later today. But if not, he's got Admiral's Well for you in the Goodwood Cup tomorrow.
Admiral's Well and Tregaron, yeah. Well, Admiral's, as I say, I wish that race was 2.5, but I think he'll run a big race in that tomorrow. We haven't got that double trigger chasing all over the countryside. So I think we're there with a great live chance tomorrow.
Good luck to you.
Well done, Reg Akers. Well, the big disappointment today was the non-reappearance of Willie Carson. He was hoping to ride today, and Sam and Al in his rides. But as we'll hear in a moment, there has been a setback, and Willie is with me now. Willie, what exactly has gone wrong?
Well, about 2.5 hours ago, I was rushing to the phone and running, and soft tissues off the hip here, the stomach muscles or something. So they tell me that's what it is. I thought I broke my leg actually, but twang it went. Anyway, there we are.
You were actually at the races, were you?
No, I was at home. Just the phone rang and I was in the garden, so I ran. You know, I've been okay, and twang, off it went. So I came here, and the doctor. I thought I could just about ride, but the doctor says you better not. So we'll take, I don't know, we'll see what happens now.
Are you in a lot of discomfort?
No, only when I walk. When I sit, I can do, I can jump up and down, I'm okay, but there's a little bit of damage there, possibly from the fall from Friday night. It's to do with that. And I must take this opportunity to thank everybody at Newmarket for the way they dealt with me, and at Addenbrooke's, fantastic in the casualty there, please. They were fantastic. And I must say that the British care, medical care, is the best in the world.
Well, I wish they could see you now, but I'm afraid they can't, Willie. We must apologise for this temporary loss of pictures, but they can hear us, and they have heard you.
Well done.
So what's the projective?
Well, I'm going to miss these two very good rides now. Al Hart, really, we didn't really want him to have a change of jockey because he's got his own problems, and it would be best if I was riding him.
Yeah.
But I've told Kevin Daly, I believe who rides him now, what to do. So let's hope that it'll all work out. He's working super, and I hope that he'll run a big race.
Yeah.
You know, regain that sort of reputation that he had last year. Yeah. And Sam, I think, is a very, very good horse we're going to see now. I think it's the best two we've seen this year. That's my opinion, anyway. And I hope it's not dented when I look at him now.
Well, Willie Carson, we hope to see you back where you belong in the saddle very soon.
Thank you very much.
That's Willie Carson, who sadly won't be riding this afternoon. Richard Hills confirmed the ride of Farm. Well, now let's turn the clock back to yesterday evening and the Oak Tree Stakes for 3-year-old fillies over 7 furlongs. And yesterday evening there were some quite high-quality animals in the field. Amongst them was Karanita. She is one of them, this remarkable Welsh-trained mare. She was well backed at 6-1, but on a day when only one favourite finished in the first 3, she was yet another punter's casualty.
Isla Del Rey on the outside of Sandhill. These two racing ahead of Karanita, Dorna, Forest Cat. Then comes Prancing and Tamnia. Then Brief Glimpse is next. My Branch on the outside trying to make ground. The back marker is Satin Bell as they come up the straight with 3 furlongs to race. Isla Del Rey and Sandhill with Karanita coming towards the outside. Then Forest Cat looking dangerous. Tamnia going well on the inside. Thrilling Days improving with Prancing. Plenty of chances as they come to the last furlong and a half. And Karanita challenged on the outside by Forest Cat, who goes on. Then Tamnia in 3rd place. Prancing is next. Thrilling Days running on. Inside the final furlong, Forest Cat from Thrilling Day and Tamnia. And as they run up to the line, Thrilling Day has struck the front. Thrilling Day is going on to win it. Thrilling Day is the winner. From Forest Cat is the Fode 3rd. Tamnia and Najaya, and they're clear of Satin Bell.
So a smashing win for the Tavistock family there, number 6. Thrilling Day, the winner at 12-1, yet another shot. Just touched off the gamble on number 4, Forest Cat at 20-1. 3rd was number 14, Tamnia, at 14-1. Oh, by the time the last race came along, the punters were just about on their knees. There was one last straw to clutch at. That was Bill Gredley's filly, Logic, who'd run so well at Newmarket last time. That's her in the yellow colours, black striped sleeves with the white cap. But something had upset her coming up to the course. She had a good sweat before she was saddled. Her backers knew their fate a long way from home. The commentator again is John Hamler.
They're all in. And away they go with Swift Refusal, fast away towards the left of the picture. Also well up there is Cambridge Ball, and towards the near side Pepita, leading the whole field. Pepita from Signs and Wonders and Sarah. Then towards the far side, Cambridge Ball, and widest of all is Swift Refusal. After just over 2, Pepita the leader from Signs and Wonders. Then Sora, Stygian coming up on the near side with GB Dream. Then comes Logic, Cambridge Ball, and then Caspian Morn, and over on the far side Swift Refusal, but it's still Pepita in the lead with 2 furlongs to race, chased by Signs and Wonders. Then comes Caspian Morn and Cambridge Ball, but Pepita and Brent Thompson are clear and look like coming home alone as they come to the final furlong. Pepita right clear, then Signs and Wonders, Caspian Morn and Cambridge Ball, and Royal Orchid battling it out for 2nd. But there's no danger here to Pepita, who comes home clear. Cambridge Ball gets up to be 2nd ahead of Caspian Morn. They're followed by Royal Orchid, and the running on now of Steve.
Absolutely, pillar to post, number 7, Pepita, the winner, 25-1. 2nd, number 1, Cambridge Ball, 10-1. 3rd, number 2, Caspian Morn, at 33-1. Well, for Peter was only the 13th winner of the English season for the former champion jockey of Victoria, Brent Thompson, who sadly has announced that he's going to return to Australia early next month. After racing yesterday, I spoke to him.
Well, as it's turned out, yes, I won, I think, his second race, and he went on to win another 6 in succession after that, and he's certainly a star. But obviously, you know, that's what you have to be getting on, good quality horses, and then the rest is a lot easier.
And Brent, when are you planning to leave?
Well, obviously there's a number of things to tidy up, but we would look at, you know, I mean, I think my way of thinking is that the season starts here on the first week of August, and I don't want to let it get too far down the road, because in September then you sort of start to see the spring horses start to emerge, and maybe if I'm away sort of through that month till I start to miss the boat a bit, so sooner than later anyway.
Yeah, well, it's a great shame to say goodbye to Brent, because he's great fun to be with. He's a terrific rider. He came back from Australia late, didn't really get going this year, then the ground got firm and the rides dried up, and well, there you are. He's got some terrific opportunities in Australia, where he's still a very big fish indeed. Well, now the good 2-year-olds are starting to come out, and we saw a real cracker at Ascot last Friday. His name's Monsieur. He's trained by Gay Calloway, and he's simply sluiced up in the Deloitte and Touche mate.
2.5 furlongs out, Monsieur on the rails in the lead from Snow Partridge. On the outside, Silver Widget. Monza the favourite, trying to get in a blow, and they're clear of Norman Conquest. A furlong and a half from home. Monsieur going comfortably in the lead from Snow Partridge. Monza under pressure and not closing at all, passing the furlong marker. Monsieur and Pat Edry are going away now from Snow Partridge and Monza. The three are clear of Silver Widget and running up towards the line. Monsieur is going to win this with plenty in hand from Snow Partridge. Monza is third, and they're well clear.
Oh, Gay, a stunning success. Did it surprise you how easily he won?
Not at all. He's a very good horse. The only thing that stunned me when I took him up to where and got him beat, but that's what happens, isn't it? When you look for an easy option, you know, the heavy ground and the round track, no pace, bit weak, bit immature and very green, and it didn't suit him.
It was a bit of a shock to your system, and presumably diminished your confidence a little bit at Ascot.
Not really, because, I mean, obviously he wasn't heavily backed, so therefore, you know, a lot of people sort of, when you look at the form, say, well, he's got beat at air, and there was a lot of heavily supported horses that day, with thanks to being there himself to watch his horse. So obviously, you know, the choice was not to back him, but I've always held great high esteem of the horse. He's a very good horse. He's been working with my 3-year-olds. I haven't got 2-year-olds good enough to go with him, and he's like a 3-year-old. So if I train him right, he'll be right for next year. And he's 40-1 to the Guineas now, so we've had a bit on there.
What immediate plans have you got for him?
Well, I'm obviously not going to over-race the horse. He's a lovely big horse. He's a very big horse, and he looks just like a 3-year-old. My plan is obviously to pick a better class race. He probably will run on a straight track. I won't go for the Solera at Sandown. Either go for the Champagne at Doncaster, or likely the Dewhurst, and we'll just play it by ear, 1 or 2 races, but no more than that. He's a very nice horse, and I don't want to ruin him this year.
Well, you're on a purple patch. You've got a runner in the big race today, Sorbet Tower, taking on the best in the Sussex Stakes. How's he going to go?
Well, hopefully very well, but one wonders, you know, how much you keep pushing your luck. But obviously I bought him as a yearling for very little money, and he's done nothing but progress, and progress in the right way. He's a very good horse. And
you got him beaten at maiden auction at Warwick last autumn.
I did indeed, and I probably shouldn't have ran him as a 2-year-old. I've learnt my lesson there. But, you know, you just got to be a bit patient with these horses, and, you know, obviously the 3-year-old career is far more important, in my opinion, than a 2-year-old career. And, you know, if you've got a nice horse, you want to save him and be very patient with him or her. But he's a very, very nice horse, and I think he's going to be better next year. And my aim, obviously, solely be for next year, whereas I'm just going to treat him a little bit gently this year. The plan was always to come here and take on the older horses. He's got a lot on his plate today, and one wonders how much he can keep pushing it with him racing so early on in the season. But he's done nothing wrong. We've blood tested him, we've weighed him, and he's all, you know, he's all the right things. And he's been very lazy at home, and, you know, you can't sort of get your hopes up, because we have the same gallop and we go to the same place every day. So obviously he takes it all in, and he's very laid back. But he looks good. he's feeling well, and there's no more I can say, really.
We'll wish you a very big run.
Thank you very much.
At Gate Calloway, who saddles Sorbitars in the big race. Well, she's really flying, as I say. Frankie, have you ridden for her at all?
Yes, Gay gives me a few rides here and there. Obviously, Ray Cochrane's first choice, and I've got numerous tables on my side, but whenever she can, she puts me up, and we've been quite successful.
Horses do look well, don't they?
Yes, it's amazing how well she's done. She's only been training a few years, and her horses are always well turned out and do really well, so best of luck to her.
Great. Right, we move on now to the big two-year-old race of the day. It's the Lançon Champagne Stakes. Fascinating race. Runners and riders from Peter.
Yes, it certainly is. And number 1 is Air Express, ridden by Brett Doyle. 2 is Belgravia, now ridden by Michael Cannan, fresh from a hat-trick at Galway last night for Dermot Wells. 3 is Equal Rights, John Reed. 4, Fun Galore, ridden by Michael Hills. 5, Grape Shot, Kevin Darley. 6, Imperial President, Pat Edery. 7, Putra, Richard Quinn, who's on the 99 mark now. And 8 is Psalm with Richard Hills deputizing for Willie Carson. Here's how they bet.
And plenty of money for Psalm. He was 9-4 this morning, 9,000-4 lay with Corals, cut to 7-4 by Hills. On the track he's now 15-8, having opened at 2 and gone 7-4. Putra just easing out a fraction, 3s to 7-2. Imperial President there is 6-1 from 5s. No money for Fun Galore. He was well back this morning each way. He's 7-1 from 11-2. Then they go 8-1 Grape Shot, 10 Equal Rights, 12 Air Express, and 25-1 from 20, the outsider Belgravia.
And here is the favourite, now ridden by Richard Hills. You heard Willie Carson talk about him. Unbeaten in 2 runs, terrific pedigree, horse who looks as though he's got gears. Frankie?
Yes, myself and Jimmy went down to the paddock to actually see these 3-year-olds, and he looks really outstanding. Really looks like he can be a real champion. He's very well bred, and I was very impressed by the way he carries himself. He's entitled to be favourite.
Lovely horse. Magic pedigree. Mr. Prospector out of the great Salsabelle by Sadler's Wells. But it's not a one-horse race. This is a really strong, competitive field. He's going to have his first real race today because his 2 runs at York, the opposition has been limited. Now, this is one of the dangers, Imperial President. And Psalm's trainer John Dunlop's got a line to him, because it was a Dunlop horse in Hello that he just beat at Newbury 11 days ago.
Racing down past the 3-furlong pole in this Matoto Donington Castle Condition Stakes. The leader from Fletcher on the outside, Imperial President making good ground. Just in behind them is Hello. Still the backmarker, and surely not going to get in touch, is Kinship, the newcomer. Fletcher being shaken up on the outside, his white face over on the far side and not looking too resolute. But here comes Imperial President to tackle Wolf Mountain. Wolf Mountain and Imperial President as they race up now inside the final furlong, and it's Imperial President from Wolf Mountain with Hello putting in a tremendous run over on the far side. It's going to be close as they come to the line. It's a photo between Hello and Imperial President with Wolf Mountain back in 3rd.
Imperial President by a short head. Frankie, is he good enough?
I was very surprised to see him beat first time out by 7 lengths, but obviously after that race in Newbury, it looks like the 7th furlong be ideal street for him. I will put a question mark on him today. He's got it all to prove. Today's in a group race with some real nice animals, and the plus factor on him is he does stay the 7th furlong really well.
Right, well, the other horse that really impressed me, for one, when he won his first race at Sandown, was Putra, who beat Benny the Dip. There he is, a long, lean chestnut horse with plenty of white about him, and he's got an engine.
Yes, myself and Jimmy, we were very surprised when we saw him in the paddock, how tall and a touch weak still looks. But what he done at Sandown suggests that he's pretty light on his feet, and whatever he does this year, he's sure to improve to next year. And obviously he's very high regarded by Paul Cole, and I think he's going to put a pretty good showing in this race.
Well, those are the big 2 walking together, Psalm and Putra in between them. Air Express, let's join Jimmy and Jim.
Thanks, Julian. As Frankie was saying, we had a good look at Putra in the in the paddock, and I agree with him. He looks as if that he's got a lot of building up to do to strengthen. He's a little bit very much up in the air. He's a flashy individual, but as Julian said, he's got a motor. He can gallop. He's by Dixie Brass out of a Miss Wacky mare. He costs $190,000 as a yearling, and well, he proves that he can gallop. And when you look at him, he's a very elasticated horse. You can see he's when he walks, he uses every muscle. But well, I've seen prettier horses than him. And 4 white socks is an old saying, Jim. Can you remember it?
I do indeed, yeah. 4 white socks, but the minstrel proved that wrong, didn't he? Well, these horses making their way down to post for this Lanson Champagne Vintage Stakes. Always a fascinating contest, and some real babies here. I think it's a real test for Sam, Jimmy, to be honest. He did win very easily.
Sam is now 7-4 from 15-8, having opened 2-1. 7-2 Putra from 3s, 13-2 Imperial President drifting out, as is Fun Galore, 15-2 from 11-2, and it's 8-1, bar those 4.
Yeah, when I say it's a real test for him, it's the first acid test, in fact. When he won at York first time out, he took a long time, Jimmy, just to get the hang of things. Once he did, he was on his way, and Willie Carston really tried to educate him there. He pushed him right out. He won officially by 9 lengths, and the next start, I don't think he could even count that. He just breezed along in front and quickened up half a mile out, and that was the end of it. So today, he should have a real race under very competitive conditions, and we'll see really what he's made of today.
Well, he's a lovely individual by Mr. Prospect. As you say, his second run, he knew much more about the game. That was when beating Tuscany. But I do love him. He's grown into a lovely horse, and he's going to make a lovely 3-year-old. Richard Hills comes in for the ride because Willie's decided not to ride today. Willie Carson, that is. Richard Hills, second rider to Hamdam Al Maktoum. And, well, what a lucky lad he is.
Fun Galore, one that Barry Hills fancied first time out and backed it accordingly at Newbury when he caused an upset beating Walk Mountain, and then came out at 1 at Newcastle. Good type, Fun Galore, but another one who's I think got the scope for more improvement.
He was one of the picks of the paddocks, I thought, Fun Galore, but Barry's horses are running a little bit in and out at the moment. But what a lovely individual he is. He's by Gone West. He's done everything right. He's won both his races to date. Won over 6 furlongs, that was the first, and then he won over 7 furlongs. And he won very nicely, and I know Barry thinks a lot of him. That's number 4, Fun Galore.
One that I thought was well over the odds was Air Expressed. I did think that he probably caught a lot of people by surprise in the July Stakes last time at Newmarket. Good third there, and a horse who's well bred for the job, and obviously got plenty of ability, but 12-1 from 10s.
That day, Jim, he came from a long way off the pace. I think they went too fast in that race, and he was never in the race until the right end, and then he really did finish, but I think the other 2 or 3 had cut their throats. That's number 1, Air Express, and now to Brett Doyle.
Equal Rights has gone in the Sangster colours. The spotted cap there. You can see John Reed. Well, Equal Rights, a winner at Ayr last time very easily, after a good run behind Bahari. Bahari, a well-regarded colt, winner at Newmarket.
Robert here today to see this colt run, and I think they think quite a lot of him. He's by Royal Academy out of Lady Liberty, who is by Noble Bijou, and he gets every inch of the run. In his last win, or his only win of his second run, was over 7 furlongs. I don't think there's too many more to go. Let's go to Peter.
Imperial President in, and that's it. Belgravia installed. They're all in. Jockeys! And they're away. Belgravia breaks fast in the center, and Belgravia just about the early leader from Equal Rights towards the left of the picture as we see them. Belgravia in the blinkers, Equal Rights, and towards the far side is Grape Shot. But it's Belgravia, blinkered, the leader from Equal Rights and Grape Shot. As they race uphill, Putra is in 4th, and then comes Imperial President. Then on the inside is Psalm, towards the outside is Fun Galore. Between those 2 is Air Express, and it's Belgravia from Equal Rights. Then comes Grape Shot in 3rd, Putra 4, Imperial President 5, 6, Psalm on the inside. Psalm on the inside, and then comes Air Express and Fun Galore travelling well towards the outer, the right of the picture. But it's Belgravia and Equal Rights disputing it. from Grape Shot, these three, then comes Imperial President, then Future, then comes Air Express. San's got it to do at the moment, and he's looking for room with on the outside Fun Galore. They're racing down to past the 2 furlong pole, and as they do so, it's Grape Shot who's taken it up now. Grape Shot from Putra, and here comes San putting in a tremendous run towards the stand side, and it's San and Putra now from Grape Shot as they race up towards the line. Putra from San, Putra and San as they race up towards the line. Putra holding San. Future has won it, number 100 for Richard Quinn. Second is San. It's close for third between Grape Shot and Equal Rights, and behind them Air Express and Imperial President, and the long-time leader Belgravia actually finished last. So Richard Quinn has achieved his century in the Lançon Champagne Vintage Stakes with the winner, number 7 Putra, owned by His Royal Highness Sultan Ahmad Shah, trained by Paul Cole. And second was number 8, Psalm, owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by John Dunlop and ridden by Richard Hills. With third, number 5, Grape Shot, owned by Mrs. Timothy Halley, trained by Luca Kumani and ridden by Kevin Darley. With fourth, number 3, Equal Rights. And Putra immediately getting a 20-to-1 quote for the 1997 2,000 guineas from Ladbrokes, gets a quote of 14-to-1 from William Hill and 16-to-1 from Corals, with Hills making Zamindar the full brother to Zaphonic their 10-to-1 favourite for next season's first Colts Classic.
Well, what a winning performance. The first and second, 2 outstanding 2-year-old colts, but at the line, Putra had it by half a length from Psalm. You couldn't make an excuse for Psalm, and the 2 of them were 2.5 lengths clear of the third horse, which was Grape Shot. And Richard Hills pulled out in time to have every chance, but this is some galloping machine, Frankie, isn't it?
Yes, Richard gave Sam every chance to go to win his race. At the time when he asked his horse to quicken, actually Richard Quinn was a little bit in trouble, so he actually didn't release his turn of foot till the very end. And for such a big horse, I thought he quickened real good and took on really well towards the end.
Yeah, he was stuck there on the inside of Imperial President, but he's got out now. Sam has pulled his way to the outside. The 2 of them have challenged together. Grape Shot, and there is a serious inquiry, not surprisingly. Grape Shot and Equal Rights back away for third place. But, well, did Richard Quinn have to nudge his way out of that little gap? If so, he had a very willing partner in Future, this tall and angular chestnut colt, who certainly must have a big future. He's won both of his races hugely impressively. Sam meeting his first defeat today.
So Richard Quinn, subject of course to the outcome of the steward's inquiry, becomes the first to score 2 victories in the London Club's Charity Trophy at the 1996 Goodwood Festival. Putra, $190,000 yearling by Dixie Brass out of Olathe, the 130 winner of this prestigious Lançon Champagne Vintage Stakes. Number 54 of the season for Paul Cole. Well, he retains his unbeaten record, this colt, as I say, subject to the outcome of the steward's inquiry.
So this is one of the, well, it isn't the picture the stewards will be looking at, but this is how the incident occurred. As Frankie said, the winner being held in by Imperial President, and he's looking for daylight out. As indeed is Richard Hills, who's from the worst draw, drawn 8, has been moving towards the outside. So where's the gap between Grape Shot and Imperial President for Putra? Richard Quinn's in trouble here. Meanwhile, Richard has got his opening on the outside, so he's got there soon enough if he's good enough. Now, does Richard barge his way out?
Well, by looking at this head-on, it doesn't seem like. It's a very hard course to ride 2-year-olds Goodwood, because you're always on a turning, so I think the interference is more accidental than deliberate, but despite this, I don't picture does it look like that Richard Quinn made any obstruction with Pat or Richard Hills.
Now, here's another possible incident. Richard Quinn, his horse's horse of the White Fleet, just drifted out there slightly towards Sam. Richard Hills riding with his whip in his left hand. Richard Quinn now pulls his whip through to his right hand, and once again they come together in the last 50 yards of the race, and he is giving Richard Hills a little push there.
Well, it looked like they got really close, but by then they're at the line, and he always won with a little bit in end, so I don't think there's going to be any dramatic changes to the result.
So, Putra first past the post. The stewards are inquiring. It's Richard Quinn's 100th winner of the season, if it's ratified. Let's now hear the starting prices.
Putra, number 7, the winner at 100-30. Second, number 8, Psalm, the 7-4 favourite. And third, number 5, Grape Shot at 9-1. All 8 ran a steward's inquiry. And the second race at Doncaster, a win there for number 5, Medali, the 5-4 on favourite. Second, number 3, Further Outlook at 15-2. And third, number 8, Mrs. Miniver at 9-2. The total returns there win £1.80. Places 110, 180, 160. The dual forecast 440, and the straight forecast £8.89.
A win for Godolphin up at Doncaster. The time for the race was 1 minute 27.33 seconds. That's 2.5 seconds slower than the standard, because the times today are definitely slower than they were on the first day. But I think we've seen two really good horses there, and it'll be a fascinating race to see from the start, which we can do with Frankie Dettori and Jimmy Lindley. Frankie, you made the point at the start that Richard Quinn had the worst draw for him there, drawn right against the rails in 8.
Yes,
Richard Hills.
Yes, Richard Hills, yes. It's amazing the way the horse jumped a little bit green after he's had 2 runs, but Richard was able to settle him out the back, and you know, from the camera it looked like they went a pretty sensible, nice pace.
Good gallop up front, Belgrave, equal rights on the inside, great shot, the eventual third on the outside. Richard Hills happy at the back, and Richard Quinn, you'd have said, Jimmy, in a perfect position there.
He is, he's got a lovely run, he's got him settled, and as you see, lobbing along there, not like Grape Shot of Kevin Darley on the outside. He was always seeing light and running much too free. If he can settle this horse, he's a very useful 2-year-old. But Imperial President, in a moment when they straighten up, you're going to see something that is race riding. This is what I think the stewards must sort of give a little bit of leeway to, because there, Pat Eddery has every right to keep those horses in. There's a little bit of an incident there I missed there, actually. You see Richard Hills trying to get out on Sam, but there, when he does get out, he gets light, and I agree with Frankie. I don't think the stewards would take too strong a view on that, but on this ground and this track, it's a very hard track to ride. It's a job to keep them balanced, Frankie, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, especially when you ride big weak 2-year-olds like they are at this time of the year. But you know, these 2 horses pull right away from the third, and I think we're going to see plenty of these 2 in the near future.
That horse, Julian, reminds me very much the way he gallops at the Minstrel, and he looks a bit like him as well.
Well, if you say 4 white feet, get rid of him, but
they won't be doing it. I don't think they get rid of him now.
Well, Frankie, have we seen many better colts than that this year? Have you ridden one?
Well, I think over the distance, these 2 look the most promising one. It's very interesting to get a line through Air Express, where he was third in the July Stakes at Newmarket. He was just touched off in that race, and these 2 pulled about 5 or 6 lengths away from him. So they have the making of being some decent horses.
Sure. And Gay Calloway's horse, were you impressed with that?
Yeah, yes, he only won a maiden, so he's got it all to prove now. These 2 horses running group company, and they pull right away from the rest. I mean, it looks a very nice 2-year-old, but until they come out there and prove it, we don't really know how good they're going to be.
Paul Cole's the man with the 2-year-olds this year. Let's join Jonathan Powell.
Yes, Paul, this was a really impressive performance by an improving horse.
Yes, we didn't know much about him really, because he's one of those horses that trains himself. He's not a difficult horse. He's always athletic and works in his canters. So we just sort of ticked him over for this race, which has always been his target.
And as a steward's inquiry, did Richard give you any cause for concern before he went in?
Well, I didn't see anything. I might have to have another look at the race.
He hasn't emerged yet, so it hasn't been resolved.
Yeah. Well,
You're having a fantastic run with your 2-year-old. I think that's your 27th 2-year-old winner this season. Did you think at the beginning of the season you might be having this kind of role?
well, I had a very good spread of 2-year-olds. I had some early ones and middle ones and some late ones. We're looking at it now.
Here's a late developer, but he's going very well.
Yeah.
You can't really tell side on, can you, what they're looking at?
Does it concern the winner then?
They haven't said that it doesn't.
Yes, very unfortunate. About 11 o'clock
What he showed there was a lot of courage and tenacity to see Ostam, who was laying down a very serious challenge.
Yeah, well, it looked a good race. I mean, nobody knows what's the result of these races till they're over.
Now we've got a reverse angle. If there is a problem, we might see it here.
Yeah, Frankie's to the left a little bit. I think he's one on merit there.
Tough to lose that, isn't it? Plenty more like him to come along?
Well, I've got some nice unraced 2-year-olds, but, you know, it's jolly nice to, to know what you've got and make plans for the future with them.
And it's your jockey's 100th win of the season. He's way ahead of schedule.
Well, it might be his 100th. Wait to find out.
Paul, well done.
Thank you.
Paul Cole, confident of keeping the race. Mandy Ryder Davis might have said he would say that, wouldn't he? We'll have the outcome of that when we come back from the news, and also, of course, the big race of the day at 20.